and in for the touchdown.
15, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Chargers. 20-yard run for number 30, Austin Eckler.
To the 15, to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. The King, Derrick Henry, touchdown! Titans!
Nobody's having more fun than these guys. Join the party and pregame with Front Yard Fantasy on Better Sports Network.
Welcome in, everybody, to Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my beautiful co-hosts, Joey Wright and John Luke Garofalo. On that call when we were coming in, we're Ravens, Chargers, and Titans radio, getting us hyped up for this game day. John Luke, Joey, how are you guys?
Fantastic.
Doing great. I've got my 3 Lions on for the London game because I support the London games, apparently. So, yeah, let's go.
Wearing your other football jersey
for
the London
jersey.
game.
Mm-hmm.
It's any excuse you have to whip that out and be like, I'm also a soccer fan. You take it, right?
Yes.
Just to communicate that.
I notoriously wear my Liverpool jerseys all the time and just try to find a reason. But this morning I can wear my England national jersey, so that's good.
Every time, Joey, even though we work together as fantasy football analysts, I'll always bring up football, and about halfway through the conversation, you'll look at me and go, "Oh, you meant American football." And then we have to start all over.
Yeah.
Oh, American football.
As I drink my tea and eat my biscuits. Yeah.
Guys, we do have a London game going on right now. It is halftime, and the Green Bay Packers are winning 20-10 in this matchup. Aaron Rodgers with 2 touchdown throws so far. One to Allen Lazard, thank God, and another one to, of course, Mercedes Lewis, of course, caught a touchdown pass. That's helping a lot of fantasy managers, right?
I saw someone say our yearly reminder that Mercedes Lewis is still in the league. So it's always nice to
Thank you for the reminder. We need that reminder.
And it was the opportunity for the announcers. They love to do it all the time to remind us that Mercedes Lewis is the only first-round draft pick that has ever caught a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers. I swear, we get that stat once a year on stream. They say there's never been another first-round draft pick to catch a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers, which is unbelievable to think about, isn't it?
That is pretty crazy.
Maybe they should send Jordan Love out on a route to let him catch a touchdown pass.
So
I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would
Jordan
love
Love.
that. I'm sure he would love that.
I think Jordan Love would love that. Just get him a little bit more involved over there. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Better Al LFG.
Where's it at? Better Al
LFG.
Oh,
let's freaking go.
Legos, falafels, and go.
And go.
We got Tommy in the chat ready for today's show. This is yo. Time for the show. Happy Sunday, boys. What's up, Tommy? Welcome in.
Happy Sunday to you.
And JL SMA here said, ready for some real football. Suck it, Joey. Suck it, soccer fans. Just kidding. I like soccer too.
We've been around a lot.
Better
longer,
boss.
So
Better boss here said, best day of the week. Indeed. Sundays are the best day of the week. We got Maria and Scampers in here as well. And Dave in the chat with the game day toonie. Oh, man,
Dave.
Nothing like a toonie to get me hyped up in the morning. What's up, Dave? Welcome in. Glad to have you guys all here. We're going to be talking football up until kickoff. We'll be here until 1 p.m. Eastern time. After 1 p.m. Eastern time, though, the fun does not stop here on the channel. Right after us from 1 to 5 p.m. ET is the Better Zone with Corey, Adam, and Scott. And then from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, you've got the Better Zone with Holden Kushner and Greg Lammerd coming up as well. It's a full day, a live action watch party here on the Better Sports Network. You're getting a little taste of it today. We got some live action going on while we're playing. In this game, I mentioned Aaron Rodgers, 2 touchdown passes. They're up to a 10-point lead. Joey, is there anything from this game so far that you're pulling out, disappointments, players you're disappointed in so far or excited about?
I mean, I'm glad that Allen Lazard has the touchdown. I'd like to see more than, 9 yards last time I checked. So
2 receptions, 9 yards. Yeah.
Let's get some more of them yards there, Allen Lazard. But hey, a touchdown, it'll say, if you put him in your fantasy lineup, a touchdown will save you. Because you're probably playing him as a wide receiver 3 or a flex. So you're fine.
It looks like Allen Lazard is not the primary target this week. Randall Cobb has 8 targets so far. The next highest player on the team is Aaron Jones with 3. Only 2 going Allen Lazard's way. Same with Robert Tonyan. Randall Cobb, we talk about it all the time. Aaron Rodgers throws to the players he trusts, right? And it looks like he trusts Randall Cobb. We knew that. JL, is Randall Cobb someone that's on your radar for fantasy? Like, is he a player that should be rostered as an Aaron Rodgers wide receiver?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. It's Randall Cobb. He's like 104 years old. This is the first game, and this is the first week in the 2022 season that he scored more than 7 points in half PPR format. You can't. He's
Randall Cobb, wide receiver
number
number 1.
Doubled his targets from the previous weeks. He had 3 targets, 2 targets, 4 targets, 8 targets. This is a fluke.
Can I send a message out to the Nickelodeon family out there? Because
the Nickelodeon family?
Yeah, because they're really doing the NFL stuff really cool with the Slime Time Live and whatnot. But when you have your Nickelodeon Sports Awards, whatever you do, get the Corn Kid and Randall Cobb on the stage together. I think it would just be magic. Let's make that happen, Nickelodeon. Come on, please. Thank you.
That would be pretty awesome. Mr. Scammers in here saying, and Rodgers specifically said he wanted Cobb to have more routes, but no, I'm not adding it. And then Tommy said Cobb is for the Hogs this week.
For the Hogs
this week at least. Saquon Barkley, I think for most of that first half was very disappointing. It looked like the Packers game plan was just dare Daniel Jones to beat them through the air. We'll stop Saquon Barkley, and if Daniel Jones wants to beat us elsewhere, he can do that. And it's working so far, but he did have that one big run, one beautiful Saquon Barkley run. He's 7 for 55 right now, has negative receiving yards. But, Joe, if you started Saquon Barkley, are you panicking, or are you sitting here thinking second half he'll get another big run or two and it'll be fine?
No, I'm not panicking at all on Barkley. I didn't really even like this matchup for him. I mean, I didn't like it enough to where I dropped him from like second in my rankings to like 6th. So, a real sinker, for him in the rankings. But no, I'm fine with what I'm seeing from Barkley. He'll probably break one late and make up for it all.
JL, at halftime, the live odds have updated. The Packers are 13.5-point favorites now if you're betting on this live at halftime. Are you taking that, or are you taking the Giants to cover that 13.5 point? They're down by 10 right now.
They're down by 10. It's 20-10. Green Bay's up. I would take the Giants to cover this. It's so far has not been a dominant game by any side of this. Green Bay has not, Green Bay is up by 10, but they haven't looked fantastic. It's been a lot of punts. I'll take the Giants to cover a 13.5-point spread.
Perfect. Joey, what about you?
No, I think the Packers are going to go up big.
Packers are going to go
keep
up
rolling.
Take that away,
yeah.
And I'll be the.
I think Rodgers wants to get his numbers.
I'm with you, JL. I think the Giants find a way to cover this. I think the Packers maybe go up by 17, but in the fourth quarter, they let the Giants sneak back in there a little bit. And Matt in here saying that spread is all about halftime adjustments. Who do you trust? Who do you trust to make those halftime adjustments? JL, sounds like you're maybe a little bit more trust in this Giants offensive coaching staff to make those changes at halftime. Not a distrust in the Packers, but that Dable can get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We have some other news before we get into our inactives, our players that aren't going to be playing or are questionable for this week. With the matchup against the Detroit Lions this week, Belichick was asked again about Patricia being the offensive play caller, and he was about as Belichickian as he could be in this response. It was the most stereotypical Belichickian response that I've ever heard. He just we've talked about the entire offensive staff. Ultimately, I have responsibility for this. But he would not say whether or not Matt Patricia was even calling the plays or that was it. He just said, ultimately, the responsibility comes down to me, is what he said. So unreal uncertainty. I imagine if Patricia was calling all the plays, Belichick would say it, or maybe he's trying to protect Patricia. But that's Joey. What do you think about these comments from Belichick? Is there dysfunction in this offensive coaching staff?
I mean, we're getting a true Belichick, answer. It's what Belichick does. So, I'm not reading too much. I mean, for Patricia, though, today, if he's the offensive play caller, it's pretty simple. You have Ramondre Stevenson, you've got Damian Harris, you run the ball. They should both have at least 15 carries today.
Over and over and over again. Just keep on running it.
Running.
I had to plug Ramondre Stevenson into a lineup today because one by one, my running backs are all just disappearing. They're going away.
I'm fine with Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, it's a good start.
That's a good play. Yeah.
I lucked out on that one then. Russell Wilson underwent a procedure on Friday to relieve discomfort near its throwing shoulder, should not miss time. And I don't know if you guys saw this, and I don't want to downplay this if he is having a shoulder issue at all. but did you guys see Matthew Berry call this before they announced it? He said, like, with the way Russell's playing, he was on TV and he said, just wait. He goes, on Friday, the Broncos are going to come out and they're going to say Russell Wilson's been playing with an injured shoulder, and they're going to do this to protect their franchise quarterback that they put all this money on, and it's going to help explain away his bad play in the beginning part of the season. And Matthew Berry said it, and then on Friday, boom, Russell Wilson undergoing a shoulder procedure, shouldn't miss any time. And I'm not saying like that it's a fake injury, but I think Matthew Berry is a dude who's been around in this industry forever. He knows all of the team's PR moves. Know what I mean? Like, he's been watching this for decades now. He knows what teams do in these situations when it comes to public relations, how they're going to handle it. And it seems like he read the writing on the wall pretty well. Joey, are you what do you think about this news about Russell Wilson's shoulder injury? Are you concerned for him rest of the season? Does this change the outlook?
It would make sense because he's looked awful. So listen, he gets this done, gets it taken care of, and hopefully he's better in the Russell Wilson that we know. Their schedule coming up after like the next 3 weeks actually is really promising. So let's go, Russell Wilson. Let's get back to what we know you for.
Russell Wilson, I hope so. Man, it's been difficult watching him recently. I'm hoping that maybe
got the yips.
Got the yips? Is that what they took care of in his shoulder, JL? Can you get a procedure?
I think
to get
they
rid of
removed some of the yips, in his shoulder.
How does that procedure go? What do they have to do that?
Well, first they take a little silly straw, they stick it in the shoulder, and they go, and there go all the yips.
The classic silly straw procedure. You have to go to a special hospital for that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, only a few people are trained in silly straw technicians. That makes sense.
Can we hear what that sound is when it gets sucked out again?
Toronto David here saying he got the bonks. Indeed, he does have the bonks.
The big bonks.
We've got some players that are or are not going to be playing today. In fact, every player in the league will either be playing or not playing today. So there's your injury update, and we're going to move on to the previews. Jeff Darlington in here with an update saying that Bucs wide receiver Julio Jones will not play today against his former team. Russell Gage will play against the Falcons. So the Bucs have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Gage ready to roll. Hugely important trifecta for this Tampa squad. It'll be good to see them out there with a full wide receiving core. I feel like this is like the strength of this team, and we've been seeing a beat up version of it for the first couple weeks of this season. In that Pittsburgh-Buffalo game, TJ Watt will have to wait on his return, may not be back till week 10-11 after having arthroscopic knee surgery. And on the Buffalo side, Dawson Knox is out, and Jamison Crowder is heading to IR. So get Jamison Crowder out of your lineups, get Dawson Knox out of your lineups. And I had to do something horrible this morning, guys. With Jamison Crowder heading to IR, this is the time if you've been rostering Isaiah McKenzie, there might be more of a role for him as that slot wide receiver there. But I had Kyle Pitts as my tight end, and I needed to pick up another tight end to start this week. And it wasn't even close. Isaiah McKenzie was the worst player on my bench. Like I just had to cut him. Like, as Jamison Crowder heads to IR, this slot role is his in this offense. Like, I had no choice but to cut him from my team for Tyler Conklin, and that just hurt really bad to have to make that move, because I think the Isaiah McKenzie role is going to be a good one rest of season. Like, he's going to be startable in fantasy week in, week out with Jamison Crowder on IR.
Yeah, I like McKenzie a lot. I mean, Gabe Davis seems to be the healthier of the two right now, but we've seen them both on the field together, and outside of 1 week, McKenzie's looked better than Davis each week.
Yeah, so if you've got McKenzie, I'm fully confident starting him up. I mean, don't have expectations of a top 12 wide receiver, but he should be able to get wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 numbers whenever Jamison Crowder is out there. Moving on to the next game, the Detroit-New England game. I saw a bunch of questions out there about that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the last we heard is that he's questionable, but that it will be a pre-game decision. That comes from Adam Schefter. We're still waiting to hear what that decision is going to be. But, Joe, you brought up before the show, they do have their bye next week, so that could make you think that maybe they give him the week off. Yeah,
I mean, DeAndre Swift's already resting, and I wouldn't be shocked if Amon-Ra St. Brown rests. I mean, Reynolds looked really good last week. Of the 2 Joshes that I said to play on the show, he was the one that definitely did show up. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we hear at 11:30 that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be sitting today.
I expect him to play. Based off what we heard in practicing later on in the week. I think he will likely play unless we hear otherwise.
Joe, you already mentioned DeAndre Swift out. DJ Chark also out, so get him out of your lineups if he was in there. And then Josh Reynolds, although questionable, is expected to play. Quintez Cephas is on IR, so he will not be in there. On the other side of the ball in that game, Mac Jones is doubtful, which means we're going to see rookie Bailey Zappi out there again this week. Old Zapster. Which is the Patriots are still 3-point favorites in this game with Bailey Zappi starting at quarterback. It seems like a slam dunk, take the Lions +3, but I feel like it's a trap. Like with Bailey Zappi at quarterback, I know DeAndre Swift is out. Amon-Ra St. Brown might be out. Maybe that's what's going on here, why they're giving him the 3 points.
Yeah, it's a home game, so New England's getting 3. And New England, they still do have a good defense, even though it doesn't really look like they do on paper. But I just think they're going to run the ball. Detroit's terrible against the run. They're terrible against really everything this year, defensive-wise. And so I think New England can win this.
Joe, what do you think on this one? Do you think it's a trap? Because I'm on that Lions side, but it feels like a trap.
You're on the Lions side of this?
Yeah,
I'm on the Lions side as well. Yeah, New England is just not putting it together. 1-3 start the season. Detroit, they haven't been really winning, but they've looked decent. The defense has looked better than we thought. Yeah, they've been competing. The offense has looked fantastic. I think they'll be able to shut down New England. I think New England's going to have a hard time keeping the Detroit Lions in place, which is kind of a funny thing to say when you look back on just the beginning of the season and how we were looking at this Lions team.
I realize we have a very rare coach revenge game narrative today with Matt Patricia and the Lions. I just clicked on my head.
Right. And so that's why there was all this extra attention on Patricia in that Belichick press conference, right? They were asking him all about him. Is he calling plays? And Belichick was so freaking non-committal. Just like he said, like, we've gone over this ad nauseum. What else do you want me to say? It was just like full on, like acting for. He gave them a complete non-answer and then got mad at them for not accepting it. And it's just beautiful. Like, that's so Belichick. Like, who's calling plays? Well, you see, it's really, I hate the way you framed that question. And then they're like, well, who's calling plays? He's like, I just told you. Like, as soon as he told them, like, I'm not telling you. That's it for that game as far as injuries go. Other people that are going to be out. Oh, one more. Jonnu Smith is going to be out. I don't know too many people that were starting Jonnu Smith in their lineups, but if you were, I apologize. Maybe go pick up an Herb Smith or something off of waiver wires and plug him in last minute. The Cleveland LA Chargers game. Before we get into the inactives, we do have an update that the field in Cleveland is swarming. Just absolutely swarming with insects. Someone in the press box was kind enough to give an update. They are midges, and they spawn in Cleveland every year for 1 week in October. They're the same ones that famously disrupted the Yankees-Indians ALDS game in 2007. Going to be a factor today. Bugs are going to be a factor. That's
so cool. Midges are the worst, though. They're not the worst. They're just annoying. We have some. I think they're midges, but they spawn near our house because we're near the harbor, the Baltimore Harbor, and they'll just like all of a sudden you'll look in the corner of your room every time you open the door, like 10 of them come in, and they just sit by the lights in your house. They're not dangerous or anything. They're just super annoying.
Oh. They look beefy. I didn't know what that was. I just Googled it. Like, they look like they got some beef on them. Like, that's a body where, like, if you squished it, you'd have to go wash your hands because they'd be like just mush all over you. They would go as you squish them. Do you think it's going to be like a roller coaster when you sit in the front row whenever some of these wide receivers are running routes? Like, do you think like DPJ is going to take off the sideline and then he's going to have to like pull bugs out of his teeth after he gets down there to catch the ball?
It's going to be like in Florida, we have love bugs. And so anyone that's got those like clear visors on their helmets is just going to be covered in bugs. Like dead bugs.
By the end of the game, it's just blurry all over. There's bug guts on the front of their visors. They're trying to clean them.
Eckler's going to break like a 60-yard run, and at the 55-yard line, he just doesn't know where he's running. He runs right into the goalpost because his shield is so blocked with bugs.
Man,
that's funny.
In this game, outside of just the bugs, we've got Keenan Allen, who is going to be out. Keenan Allen's not playing in this game, so hogs up for Mike Williams. You guys plugging Mike Williams back into your lineups, Gerald Everett?
Oh, yes.
Yep. Everybody should start Mike Williams. Joshua Palmer. Hey, still start him this week. I think he'll be okay.
Still going to start him. Yeah, and Joshua Palmer was questionable, but a full participant on Friday, so he's expected to play. On the other side of the ball, Cleveland Browns are pretty healthy going into this game. Jadeveon Clowney is questionable, but optimistic that he will play. That's per Rappaport. And then Myles Garrett is expected to make his return after missing last week due to his car accident. So we should get the full Browns defensive front with Clowney and Garrett back in it as well. Also, I see Dave in the chat saying Palmer is from the Toronto area.
Hey.
Shout out Toronto. Shout out Canadian
Toronto.
players. We had some questions in the chat before we hit our next game over here. Higbee or Hawkinson, full PPR. So Hawkinson had the huge week last week going up against New England this week. Joey, who are you taking in this one?
I have him back to back. I'm gonna take Higbee though. I like the matchup for him a little bit more than I do for Hawkinson.
Yeah, what about you? Higbee going up against the Dallas Cowboys or Hawkinson going up against the Patriots? Which of those players are you taking?
I'm going to go Hawkinson. Patriots have not been very good at stopping tight end, and Hawkinson looked fantastic last week. If Amon-Ra St. Brown does have limited snaps, I could see them leaning on Hawkinson like they did last week.
Yeah, if I knew for sure Amon-Ra was going to be out, I would go Hawkinson. I still think I lean that way, but it is super close. If Amon-Ra is out, it's a slam dunk. TJ Hawkinson, if he's in, these guys are flip a coin. I see Tommy in the chat going Higbee as well because of the Amon-Ra being back. Also, JL, good for your prediction. Giants 37-yard field goal is good. They are in this 13-20. It's a one-score game right now over in London.
London, baby.
I see two smug Aaron Rodgers touchdowns coming up.
That was my Joey Tribbiani accent. London, baby.
For 1 second, I was trying to combine Joey Tribbiani and Joey Wright, and there was a joke forming in
Joey
there.
Wright
and I just couldn't pull it out in time. It was a moment of panic where I looked at the camera and I was like, okay, let's hear.
Okay. Oh, hi. How are you doing?
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good right there.
I did there?
I see what you did there.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's run through some more of these inactives. For the Houston-Jacksonville game, Brevin Jordan is out. Zay Jones is questionable but expected to play. David Montgomery in the Chicago-Minnesota game is questionable but expected to play. On the Minnesota side, we're looking pretty good. They got one of their backup tight ends, Ben Ellison, moving to IR, but I imagine not too many people were starting him. In the Seattle-New Orleans game, Marquise Goodwin and Kenneth Walker are both questionable. So keep an eye on that. And then on the New Orleans side, Michael Thomas is out, and Andy Dalton will be getting the start yet again. Alvin Kamara and Jarvis Landry questionable, but Kamara is expected to play per Adam Schefter. You guys plugging Kamara in if he's active? Any qualms about putting him in there?
No, I'm playing him if he's active.
In the Miami-New York Jets game, Tyreek Hill is questionable, but expected to play per Adam Schefter, so you should be good on that one. And then in the Atlanta-Tampa Bay game, the player that made me adjust so many of my lineups yesterday and today, Kyle Pitts is out. Though honestly, I feel like I'm taking this moment as I hope Kyle Pitts gets healthy. I hope he's okay. But you know what? Now I don't have to start him. I don't have to start him this week because I have felt like each and every week, what am I going to do? Pick up Irv Smith, pick up Tyler Conklin, pick up Gerald Everett. I'm going to start Kyle Pitts. I drafted him in the third round. I'm going to play him. But he is out this week, hopefully returning next week. Joey, do you think we get better games from Kyle Pitts when he's back, or is this just going to be a disappointing season?
They can't get much worse. So, yeah, I think we're going to get a lot better from Kyle Pitts coming forward. Give him this week to rest. I think Drake London's a great play this week. I think him and Olamide Zaccheaus are pretty much the only two pass catchers you can use in this with any confidence in this Atlanta offense.
Absolutely. On the other side of the ball, we hit on most of it already. Julio Jones out, the other wide receivers in, Russell Gage as well active with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And then Brashad Perryman is questionable for this game, but with all those other wide receivers healthy, I imagine he's probably not as much of a fantasy factor with Evans, Godwin, and Gage out there on the field. We got some questions in here before we keep on hitting these inactives. I see one here that says Hawkinson, Everett, Parker need to start one tight end and flex the other. Thought. So Hawkinson, Everett, and Parker. JL, you got to start two of these players. One of them has to be a tight end. So, it's impossible to do this without starting one tight end. So start two of these three. Who are you starting? Hawkinson, Everett, Parker. We talked a little bit about Hawkinson's game script. We didn't really mention Everett, though.
I would start the 2 tight ends in this game. I would start Hockenson and I'd start Everett. Devontae Parker, I think, might get the Acuna treatment this week against Detroit. And it's not like he's been a major factor in this offense anyway with that quarterback, Mac Jones, not being there. So I'll go Everett and I'll go Hockenson.
Joey
is a big benefactor with
startable in any is Devontae Parker startable in any formats? Like if you're a fantasy manager and you've got him on your bench, is he a player that you would even consider plugging in? Like, what's the upside?
I mean, Detroit's really bad against wide receivers. So even though Parker might draw him, but I don't mind rolling Parker out there as like a desperation flex or Jacoby Myers, but I'd probably lean more on Myers if he does play.
Yeah, I think that's what it is for me, is like with a rookie quarterback back there and Devontae Parker likely not even being the one on that team. I'm with you guys. It's rare that it's the 2 tight ends, but I think this is the 2 tight ends. Guys, we're going to keep on answering your questions, breaking down these games coming up and keeping you up to date on all of the information that you need to help win your matchups this week. Right now, you're listening to Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy here on the Better Sports Network.
Let's just keep answering questions.
Yeah, let's hit one more question before break over here. We've got a question here. Need to full PPR, Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson Jr., Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad Penny, and David Montgomery. So a whole collage of backup running backs in this one that maybe are stealing. I guess David Montgomery's not a backup unless you really believe in Khalil Herbert. With DeAndre Swift out, Jamal Williams is the one that screams to me as a must start. Like, that's the guy that has to be in your lineup. JL, who would you be starting from this bunch?
What was the bunch again?
Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson Jr., Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad Penny, and David Montgomery.
Holy cow, that is a big list.
Yeah.
Let me pull up their matchups real quick.
We got, Jamal Williams going up against the Patriots this week with DeAndre Swift out. Seems like the easiest of the bunch. The 49ers, so Jeff Wilson's going up against the Carolina Panthers this week, so not a bad matchup. Ramondre Stevenson, obviously in that Detroit-New England game again. The Seahawks going up against the Saints this week. So we've got Rashad Penny going up against that Saints defense. And then who was the last one? The Bears. The Bears, man, I just try to forget the Bears exist. Who are the Bears playing this? Oh, yeah, the Vikings. That's right. Bears going up against the Vikings. David Montgomery potentially coming back from injury.
You got to sit David Montgomery. You got to sit David Montgomery this week. You don't know what he's going to be like. Khalil Herbert might end up getting the majority of the workload today against a pretty weak Minnesota run defense. I'm starting Jamal Williams. Lock that in against New England. And I'm starting Ramondre Stevenson against Detroit. Really good matchup for Ramondre Stevenson this week.
Doubling down in that game. I like it, JL. I think that's the route I'm going as well. I'll plug in both of those guys. What about you, Joey? You got more faith?
I got him close, but I'm gonna start Jeff Wilson. I'll start Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson's totally
against
fair,
Carolina. Yeah, and it's really. I mean, Stevenson, I got a running back 22, and Jeff Wilson, I've got a running back 20. So it's,
they're back
I'm
to
splitting hairs.
I'm with you, Joey.
Well, guys, like I mentioned before, we're going to keep on answering your questions throughout the show. We've also got our friend, fantasy industry legend Scott Engel, joining the show in a little bit as well to help you guys prep for your week. You're listening to that's not the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. This is Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network.
Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
By the way, if you are a commissioner out there, if someone does not pay, that's on you at the end of the day. It sucks. That's why you have to get the money early, because if they don't pay, it's on you. You don't change the prize. A winner shouldn't be impacted because unfortunately you messed up as commissioner. And I've been caught with this before. I've made this mistake. It sucks, and I had to go out of pocket for it. You learn that maybe some of your friends should not be in that league. But Roan, we see it all the time with commissioner issues, and I can't stress it enough that when it comes down to league payment, it's on the commissioner if they don't have everybody's entry fee and someone decides to ghost them.
Yeah, I had to collect 36 entry fees this year. All of them were collected except one. And it was one of my friends who said he was going to pay the second. I forgot to remind him. He might even be listening, but I know he's going to pay. If not, I know where he lives. But nah, he'll pay. So, but yeah, I mean,
big brother Adam Rodas over here.
And even the guy that I've talked about before that usually always pays me at the end, he actually paid on time this time. He usually is like, I'll pay you on Friday, and then it doesn't come, and then it's 4 months later. And he always winds up paying. That's why I don't really get upset. But you've seen my emails, man. I don't play around. Like, this is the date. This is the date. You get it in by then. And I always, too, I'm like, the draft order will be determined when everyone pays. Right. So don't hit me up about the draft order. Once everyone pays, then the draft order will be done. And anyone who's been in this league, now Festi can't attest to this because he's never won money in my league, but the people who do win, they get it right away. Usually the next day or two. Just make sure the scoring, especially with football, no scoring changes, as long as it's not like a point victory, half a point, and then they'll get the money right away.
What about 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, wait it out just in case something crazy happens. I guess I don't wait till Thursday when the official scoring happens.
Yeah, man. I mean, a championship that I was in years ago got reversed, and I ended up winning on a Thursday stat correction.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. You hope
I won.
you hope it doesn't come down to that. If you're on the better end of that, it's great. But man, imagine thinking you won, you got the money, and then it changes. That's tough.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Motion to the right side by Lazard. Slot right. They've got a wing set up on the left side. Rodgers takes quick toss right side. Lazard gets a block from Dobbs. Touchdown, Green Bay. Decora moves to the left in motion. And they fake the handoff. Pass into the end zone for the big dog. Mercedes Lewis, who was wide open.
Welcome back in, everyone, to Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy here on the Better Sports Network. We are going to start hitting some of these inactives as they come in. We got live inactives rolling in from the NFL teams that are playing this afternoon at 1. So we'll hit those. While we're waiting for those to come in, we're going to keep on answering some of your questions. 2 big actives that just got announced. Alvin Kamara officially active. So if you have Alvin Kamara in your lineups, no worries about him not playing today. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown also active this week, just announced as active. So I know we had a lot of questions about that already, but Amon-Ra St. Brown active. That's per Adam Schefter.
He's not very reputable. I still am gonna wait to hear. No, I was wrong.
From someone else. We got to wait to hear from somebody else. No, Joey, I liked your logic. You were making an educated guess that made sense. Bye week next week if they don't need it. But maybe the Lions, like we mentioned, they haven't been winning games, right? They have not been winning games so far, but they've looked good. Maybe they really view this as a very winnable game. Know what I mean? Like this is a game that they view as winnable and is like a must win for the vibe of this team for the course of the season.
I really appreciate you calling my guess educated. That made me feel nice.
I just decided in my head right now, I'm going full down Lions narrative street for this game. Guys, on that intro right there, we had Packers radio getting us hyped up for this segment. But that Lions game, I'm 100% on narrative street now that like this is a must win for the culture of the Lions. Like Dan Campbell's getting them so hyped up. Like this is for our season. This is it, boys. Like I'm going full Hard Knocks effect on this one and saying the Lions are going to have a statement win against the Patriots is how I'm feeling. We had some more questions in here in the chat that I wanted to make sure we were hitting. Breece Hall, Damian Pierce, or Jamal Williams for RB2. So Jamal Williams, we talked about DeAndre Swift is out. And when DeAndre Swift was out last time, Jamal Williams was an incredible start. Breece Hall, though, has been getting more and more work in this backfield. I think he has sneakily become the lead back in this backfield without people really talking about it. And then Damian Pierce going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been looking better and better every single week. This person has 3 good options for that second running back spot. JL, which of these 3 options is your preferred player?
I'm going to go separately from Jamal.
No, Jamal Williams is one of the options.
Yeah, I'll go Jamal Williams here.
Joe, are you agreeing? Is it Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams is over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games, and he has 3 2-touchdown games this season. I mean, you're rolling Jamal Williams, especially with DeAndre Swift out. Yeah, it's Jamal Williams. Slam dunk.
I don't mind Breece Hall. Like if you're playing in a DFS lineup like Breece Hall, load him up on those dump-off targets. They're going up against the Miami Dolphins. It should be a good game for him. I like Breece Hall this week. You just happen to have a better option in Jamal Williams.
I've been on record saying last week I went out and traded for 2 running backs, Breece Hall and Damian Pierce. So I love your other 2 options. Just Jamal Williams is on another level right now.
We have another question. Would you guys start Deontay Johnson or Devonta Smith at wide receiver? So Deontay Johnson on that Steelers team that are 2 touchdown underdogs going up against that Buffalo Bills defense with Kenny Pickett getting his first career start. Devonta Smith in this 48.5-point over-under, the highest of all games this week except for Monday Night Football, going up against the Arizona Cardinals. For me, the words I just said tell you who you're picking. It's Devonta Smith. I am not starting Deontay Johnson with Kenny Pickett against the Steelers defense when you have an option like Smith in this high-powered offense. What about you guys?
Yeah, Smith for me.
Yeah, it's not just Deontay Johnson. I don't like any Steelers this week. It's a horrible matchup for them. It's Smith and pretty easily.
You know, this one's tough right here. Joe, you want the tough one? You want to go first?
Which one is it? I don't know which one you're talking about.
Half PPR. Well, I was about to tell you. I was asking you before I gave it to you. That way you couldn't back out. Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Etienne, or DJ Moore? Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Etienne, or DJ Moore?
Travis Etienne or DJ Moore. And we know the Panthers are playing, we just said it. God, my memory sucks.
49ers.
Panthers are playing the 49ers this week. Jacksonville playing Houston. Juju Smith-Schuster, the Kansas City Chiefs are playing Las Vegas. Half PPR, I'm going Juju.
Juju did tweak something at practice yesterday, changing his status to questionable instead of ready to go for Monday night. So him being on Monday night and being questionable, does that maybe change how you're feeling?
This depends all on your risk. Juju Smith-Schuster, if you need some high upside guy, then I'm going him. It's a plus matchup for him. I think he'll be the guy there in that offense. I'm fine pivoting and going to Travis Etienne. It's close enough for me. Houston is a fantastic matchup for the running back position. So I'm fine going Etienne if you don't want as much risk.
I had to make a very similar decision to this. It was either go with Juju Smith-Schuster or plug in Darrell Henderson today. Like, do I roll with Darrell Henderson or do I take that risk? The tiebreaker for me was I had Matt Collins on my bench as a viable, like, I'm not excited about starting Matt Collins, but if I need to and Juju's out, I can plug him in there. I'm with you, JL. Like, I'll probably plug in Etienne just out of that nerves that Juju doesn't play on Monday night, unless you have a backup option like a Matt Collins or an MVS on your bench, someone else in this Monday night game that you can plug in. We had some more questions in here. Somewhere over here. Joey, Conklin, Mooney, or Myers this week. So another tight end. Conklin, Mooney, or Myers. Who are you starting?
Conklin, Mooney, or Myers. You know what? We saw Mooney show up last week, and they're playing the Vikings, and they're not too incredible against the pass. So yeah, let's roll out Mooney out between these 3 options. I feel like it's the most upside.
Man, I'm excited. This is the first start sit since week 2 that I've been able to answer Darnell Mooney, and I'm going to do it. But still, I'm not super excited about it. But those are your options. It's going to be Darnell Mooney.
Yep, Mooney for me as well.
We've got some more news coming in, some more inactives being announced. Isaiah McKenzie officially inactive this week. He will not be playing. Any interest in Khalil Shakur with Isaiah McKenzie out this week, Joey? Is he someone you would be willing to plug in?
I just moved him up 9 spots in my rankings. I have him right behind Jarvis Landry now. It's still wide receiver 57, but I might even go higher than that, honestly. He's got a great opportunity today. This makes me feel a lot better about Gabe Davis, because now for me, Gabe Davis is the de facto best second option on the team. If you're not going to dump off 10 passes at Devin Singletary, which I hope you do.
I saw another question in the chat that I wanted to hit immediately. Tyson asking Julio or Jacoby Myers. Julio Jones is not playing, so that is Jacoby Myers. You'll have to start Jacoby Myers in that one. Go ahead and make that move. Get him out of there. Another question in here from Nick. He wants to pick 2 to start: CeeDee Lamb, Gabe Davis, and Mike Williams. So Gabe Davis has been disappointing so far. Keenan Allen out, so maybe it points towards Mike Williams week. I think this is a slam dunk, CeeDee Lamb and Mike Williams. Are either of you guys plugging in Gabe Davis over either of those 2 guys?
Nope, Mike Williams, CeeDee Lamb, lock it in.
Yep.
Lock it in. What about this one from Vegas Mark? What's up, Mark? He said Evans, Kirk, Olave, DK, Scary Terry, and CeeDee. Full PPR. Well, first of all, nice wide receivers, Mark. Looking pretty hot over there. Evans, Kirk, Olave, DK, Scary Terry, and CeeDee. Joey, how are you making this decision? You got that solid core of wide receivers right there.
Evans is the slam dunk for me. Can you roll through the names one more time for me?
Yes, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Chris Olave, DK Metcalf, Scary Terry, and CeeDee Lamb.
Kirk. I think Kirk could have a really good game against Houston today. So yeah, it's Kirk for me.
Absolutely. Dale, what about you?
Yeah, it's Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb. We're picking 2?
3.
Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb, and I'll go Olave. But it's pretty close between Olave and Kirk.
Is the Olave decision because Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are out? Like, does that help influence that?
Landry's out.
It certainly helps Olave.
Certainly helps Olave.
Did you say also, Landry is also out?
Yeah, Landry is inactive.
I missed
today.
that. Oh. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We're getting some more info coming in. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson is questionable to return today due to a hamstring injury. So if you had Christian Watson, hopefully.
Oh, did he get 2 receptions?
Did you
if
need
he
him
did,
it's
going to ruin my.
Let's see if he got 2
We're
receptions.
good. We're good. Just stayed at 1. We're stayed at 1. All right.
I thought you were being snarky because he hasn't had like the best season. You're like, oh, did he get 2 receptions? It's like,
no. I just had him to less than 2 receptions this week. He had 1 in like the early second quarter. So I was sweating over here.
While we're talking that game, a quick update. It is still 20-13. Green Bay just punted. The Giants have the ball back, are driving down the field. Where are they sitting right now on that field? It's the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth. Still only down by 1 touchdown, though. Jail, it's looking all right. Looking all right for the New York Giants. The Packers have to be disappointed with that last drive, though. I'm just looking at the play-by-play over here. I was watching some of it, but it goes 1st and 10. 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 1st and 10, 1st and 10, 1st and 10, just like over and over again. They're just moving down the field, and then it ends at a punt. They get nothing out of that.
I see Dame in the chat. Good morning, Dame. She asked, half PPR, how would you rank London versus Tampa Bay, Amon-Ra St. Brown against New England, or David Montgomery against Minnesota? Taking David Montgomery out of that mix. And then between London and Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's going to be a bit dependent on your risk tolerance here, Dame. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a little more risky coming off the injury. We don't know what his usage is going to be today. London is in a worse offense and has a worse matchup. So I would lean Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think it's fair if you want to go London.
I'm with you, Jail.
Yep, full agreement.
It's Amon-Ra, then London, and then a couple blank spaces, then a couple more blank spaces, then David Montgomery. I just really want to make sure that people understand David Montgomery's way, way, way below those 2 guys for me this week. Oh, I see Mr. Scamber's in here with a Saquon frowny face. Did Saquon just go down injured? I was looking over here.
Breida was in.
What did you say?
I said Breida was in, but I didn't see an injury.
We'll have to stay up to date on that. Hopefully Saquon's all right. With St. Brown being active, we had a question in here.
Questionable return.
Active. Should I start Reynolds or Hardman? So Josh Reynolds or Mecole Hardman? Joey, where are you going on here?
Yeah, it's Josh. It's Josh Reynolds for me. Mecole Hardman hasn't really had the best season this year in that Chiefs offense. So yeah, it's Reynolds.
Yeah,
he's been good with Amon-Ra St. Brown on the field. So yeah.
Saquon Barkley headed to the locker room with a shoulder injury, questionable to return. Hopefully,
he's carrying the whole team.
Man, yeah. Hopefully he's able to come back in this game. Or if he's not, hopefully he's it's nothing serious, and we'll see him back on the field next week. We had some more questions in here, and this is a good one. Joey, you just said you want to start none of those players in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And we've got 2 running backs that I think have been ascending in this question from Jay. He wants to know Najee Harris in this tough matchup, or James Robinson or Damian Pierce in the matchup against each other.
100% James Robinson this week. He had 3 games in a row with, was it either over 100 yards or 2 touchdowns? It's James Robinson for me today. And I love Damian Pierce. Everybody knows that. I've professed my love many times on any show that I'm on. I'll talk about Damian Pierce. But I love James Robinson this week. I know that some of the work might be tearing towards Travis Etienne coming up soon, but I don't think that starts necessarily today.
Absolutely. Jail, what about you? You're a little bit higher on Etienne. I know you've talked maybe we start seeing him get worked in more. Are you still going James Robinson in this one, though?
Yeah, I think we're still going to see James Robinson in this one. Travis Etienne he's going to be worked in more in the passing game, I think, potentially more in the running game, but this is such a solid matchup for James Robinson.
I don't want to misquote my stat. It's prior to last week, 65 yards and a touchdown in 3 straight games. And then he had an off game last week. So, yeah.
I think I'm going James Robinson here as well, but I love Damian Pierce as a start too. I think both of these guys are great starts. And maybe a little spoiler, but it reminded me, everybody, if you want to compete against us this week, we are doing a FanDuel Sunday Showdown. We've got a contest set up. I just posted the link in our YouTube chat. We'll try to get that in the Better Sports Network chat as well. Hit that button, join, create your lineup. If you're able to beat us, come in first place in this lineup, beat us and everybody else, you will get a piece of merch from the Front Yard Fantasy Morning or the Front Yard Fantasy shop. Just let us know what you want out of that shop. We'll hook you up. We got some nice undies with my face on it. Inches by Simon, a coffee mug, whatever you need. JL wears the Inches by Simon every day. He can attest to how good they are.
Simon, can I shout an active real quick that I'm really happy to see?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Brian Robinson is active.
Yeah. Are you starting?
I'm not starting him, no, but I'm happy to see him out there. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be definitely starting him. I'm so happy to see him back on the field. I've been waiting for this for weeks now. So
let's say hypothetically, just completely hypothetical situation. You're not doing great in Scott Fishbowl. You really need a win, right? And your options for that second running back spot are Darrell Henderson or Brian Robinson. Would you be plugging in Darrell Henderson on that shrinking workload, or would you put in Brian Robinson for the upside?
Man, that's a tough question. I'm going to say, I have him behind in the rankings. I just love that he's stepping on the field today. I could see the Commanders being at like the 1 yard line, and they're like, put Robinson and give this man a touchdown today. And I think a touchdown would beat, that's 6 points, and that would be what I think Darrell Henderson's going to get this week. So
the disrespect, Joey. I didn't see that last line coming as you were going through this. I thought you were gonna be like, oh, you'd be happy with a touchdown. And I'm like, no, but Darrell Henderson's gonna play a full game and get 6 points. Brian Robinson will get it on one snap. Start him.
All right, we got some questions from the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube chat. Pick a flex PPR: Josh Reynolds, Khalil Herbert, or Josh Palmer. What do you guys think this week, flex?
Can you read those names again?
Josh Reynolds, Herbert, Khalil Herbert, and Palmer.
No.
Josh Palmer. Herbert for me.
Yeah, even with Montgomery back, I think it's going to be Herbert for me as well. I liked what I saw from him. I think Montgomery might get eased back into this offense, and we might see Herbert. We might see the beginning of Herbert taking over this backfield. So I'll go Khalil Herbert here.
All right, double Herbert.
Yep, Herbert.
All right, and then JXC asking Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds, or Khalil Herbert, PPR. That's a little more interesting. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Josh Jacobs for me.
It's Josh Jacobs for me as well. It's definitely
Herbert's
Josh
close.
Jacobs.
Herbert's is close. And then go ahead.
I was going to say with Montgomery and Herbert's not as close to me to Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is one of the few true workhorse backs in the NFL right now. He's getting everything for his team. So I'm not going to plug in someone like Khalil Herbert over him with David Montgomery active.
Yeah, totally fair. Need one in full PPR from Ed C. Need one in full PPR. David Montgomery, Brandon Cooks, or Ramondre Stevenson. Oh,
David Montgomery, Brandon Cooks, or Ramondre Stevenson. Give me Ramondre. Give me Ramondre in this one.
Joey,
you know what? I'm taking it back. I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks. I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks here because I do think both of these teams are going to score. I think both this game's going to be higher scoring than I think maybe expected. I don't expect these defenses to be able to necessarily stop what's going on here, especially the Houston defense stopping Jacksonville. So they might have to air the ball out a little bit more. Brandon Cooks gets involved. I like Brandon Cooks this week.
I have Brandon Cooks as okay. I have Brandon Cooks as a top 20 wide receiver this week, so I'm happy with Brandon Cooks.
That's hot. Let's see. We got some more questions in here. Dobbins or Connor? James Conner. So J.K. Dobbins or James Conner at flex this week. What do you guys think?
It's Dobbins for me. I do not like Connor this week. I don't like his matchup. I don't like what we've seen from him this year. I'll take Dobbins.
It's Dobbins for me as well. Get some of that Sunday night football action in there. And
Dobbins
look good.
I'll be there. I'll be at that game.
Yeah. What are you excited for tonight?
I'm just jealous. I'm jealous you get to go to the Bengals Ravens. That's a fun game to get to go to. Bengals Ravens Sunday night football. JL, I'm living vicariously through you.
JL, I have a question for you. How high would the Bills need to be winning by the third quarter for you to leave the game?
Well, if the Bills are winning, then something's weird because I'm going to a Bengals game tonight. Ravens Bengals.
Wait. No, The Ravens are playing the Bills, aren't they?
They already
No,
played
the
the Bills.
Steelers are playing the Bills. 14
Where
point
am I?
underdogs in that game. You're
Bye,
in
everybody.
week 4. You're in a different week.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the whole time.
Womp, womp.
Defeat Solo, and you're asking Drake London or Godwin this week. Ooh, that is
Godwin.
interesting. I think it's Godwin for me too.
Godwin. I don't trust the Falcons offense to do anything against this team defense. Like, I'm not taking that bet. And especially with Kyle Pitts out, not that he's been like out there running a ton of routes, but it's all going to be focused on Drake London.
Yeah.
Give me Godwin, man.
Give me Godwin too. Vegas Mark asking Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, Singletary, Tony Pollard, or Herbert. You're picking 2, full PPR. That's Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, Devin Singletary, Tony Pollard, or Khalil Herbert. Which 2 of these guys are you picking in full PPR, Joey?
One more time with those names. I was looking forward to
Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, Devin Singletary, Tony Pollard, and Khalil Herbert.
It's going to be Jacobs and McCaffrey for me.
Jacobs, CMC. Simon, are you with Joey?
CMC is the slam dunk, and it is Jacobs as well, but I just wanted to give some confidence to people that have Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is a great start this week going up against that Steelers team. Like, Devin Singletary is a phenomenal start. 14-point favorites in this game against the Steelers defense without TJ Watt. Like, this is the time to fire up Singletary. So, man, it is so close between him and Jacobs. I'm trying to find a way to get both of those guys in my lineup, Vegas Mark. If you can get both of those guys in there, like, that's what I want to do because I love the matchup for Singletary. I'm just not starting him over Jacobs or CMC.
Yeah, it's Christian McCaffrey and CMC for me too. I agree with Simon. Singletary is not far behind. Good question. Kale Sport asking, is Tyler Conklin to start rest of season with all the awful tight ends? What do you guys think?
If they keep going down the way they are, it might be de facto top 12 tight end.
He's in the glob. He's a streaming option. In a good matchup, you can plug Tyler Conklin in. If you want to roll with him weekly, that's fine. Know what I mean? Like, you'll have disappointing games. You'll have a couple good ones, but he's in that glob for me. If Tyler Conklin's my starting tight end, I am not married to starting him every week. I'm looking at the waiver wire each and every single week to see if there's a matchup I like better. Keep an eye on Logan Thomas. He's out this week as well, but he's been playing like full snap shares. Maybe after this week, you can scoop him up off of the waivers and have a solid tight end rest of the season as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Tyler Conklin, tight end for the New York Jets, if you're not aware. Dagger is asking flex 2, Brandon Ayuk, David Njoku, or Raheem Mostert in half PPR. Which 2 are you flexing? Brandon Ayuk, Njoku, or Raheem Mostert, Simon?
This one's interesting. It's probably going to be Ayuk and Njoku for me. I'll plug those 2 guys in, the 2 pass catching options.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, Njoku for sure, and then I'll go Ayuk as well.
Oh, shoot. The Giants just scored, tied the game, 20-20, touchdown to Gary Brightwell. Gary Brightwell up the middle for
we drew it up.
Oh, Gary Brightwell.
We saw a note Saquon sprinted to the locker room with medical staff, might be getting an x-ray.
Oh, no. Saquon, no!
On his hand.
Oh, man. All right, so I think we all went Ayuk and Njoku. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
didn't realize Mostert was playing the Jets. That's kind of interesting.
Does that change your mind?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I'd go Ayuk Mostert.
Mostert.
So we're all in alignment with Ayuk. All right, full PPR. Nick's asking, need 2 flex spots, full PPR, Chris Godwin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, or Drake London. Oof. That is a solid decision you have to make.
The 2 receivers off the top.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. That's where I am as well, Joey. Even though Amon-Ra was questionable, if they're playing him, I imagine he's playing full snaps.
Can I talk about Chris Godwin for a second and what he does against the Falcons?
Do it.
Last 7 games against the Falcons, he's averaged 8.6 targets and 104 yards and over a touchdown per game. It's just he's had, I think it's 9 touchdowns in 7 games against the Falcons. He just murders them. Yeah, I love Chris Godwin today.
I think I would go Dobbins over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I am starting Godwin with you guys, but I just can't. I think
that's safer.
That's
safer. You're right. That is the safer play for sure. And I mean, I was about to say Amon-Ra has more upside. I think he does, but I don't think Dobbins' upside is low. Know what I mean? Like I don't think he's just this like safe player. He's got some real upside as well.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. All right, we got some more questions in here. We keep hitting. Caden asking Waddle, Mike Williams, or McLaurin this week. PPR, full PPR. Jalen Waddle, Mike Williams, or Terry McLaurin.
Give me Mike Williams with Keenan Allen out. Keenan Allen out going up against the Browns. I'll take Mike Williams, baby.
What about you, Joey?
I'm gonna go Waddle against the Jets. Yeah, it's Waddle for me. I mean, I think this Dolphins-Jets game could actually be competitive. I mean, because we've seen those 3 receivers for the Jets, show up.
Yeah.
And they're very talented. I think it could end up being like a sneaky shootout. The Dolphins defense hasn't been that great this year. So yeah, it's Waddle for me. But they're one spot apart. So I'm splitting hairs.
It's Waddle
even
for me
with,
too. It is close.
Even with Tua out, you guys are still going Waddle?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the tiebreaker for me, right? No Keenan Allen, no Tua. Otherwise, like this would be a slam dunk Waddle, but both of those things together led me to Mike Williams.
Totally fine if you want to go Mike Williams here. It's close enough. Jordan in here asking Najee Harris or Khalil Herbert PPR. Boy, that's a question. What do you guys think?
Hey, you got me to say Harris on the show. There you go. Najee Harris. I would start Najee Harris today.
Going Najee over Khalil Herbert. I'm also going Najee Harris over Khalil Herbert. It is a tougher matchup against Buffalo, but I think this Pittsburgh offense is going to have to lean on Najee this week like they normally do.
Yeah, lean on him 1 yard at a time. Like lean on him for 3 downs, then
give him the opportunity
over and over again.
Yeah, the offense is not good, but the opportunity for Najee is still good.
Like it's Najee. You're plugging your nose and you're shoving Najee in your lineup and just hoping for the best. Like Najee, you're just hoping Najee gets in there and breaks off a long run. Like I'm zero excitement for that start, but it's what you got to do. You just have to do it.
Yeah. All right. Sitting DK Metcalf or Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. From Vinny number 1.
Who was the first player, Joe?
DK Metcalf or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Which player are you sitting?
Ooh, which player are you sitting? I always like half glass full, half glass empty analyze people whenever they come in and ask who do you start or who do you sit. Like some people are looking for like who's the guy that's going to step up, and then some people are like, who am I punishing by putting on my bench this week? Like they come in and just like who is getting relegated to the bench.
I think I would sit Amon-Ra St. Brown on this one. It's just a little too risky given the injury. We don't know what his usage is going to be. DK Metcalf going against New Orleans. I think he'll be fine. He'll have a decent game. So I'll go DK Metcalf.
Saints are middle of the road-ish against fantasy wide receivers so far this season, not in the top half of the league. You've got a great option or a good enough option in DK Metcalf that you can pivot. I'm not as worried about Amon-Ra as JL, but when you have an option like DK, it makes it an easier decision. So I'll go DK.
Yeah, the Saints have been really good against slot wide receivers. So DK Metcalf's the player I like in the receiving game for the Seahawks today. So if you've got that option to wait on him I'm fine with going DK.
And we got some more questions in here. We're trying to hit them all here. So be patient if we don't get to yours yet. We will try to get to all of them. We got a question from Anthony Ruff. It said, good morning, fellas. Pick 3, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, and 1 flex. It's PPR league. You're going Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, James Robinson, Damian Pierce, Drake London, or Dalvin Cook.
Oh, man. Oh, you've got great options. Jeez.
Amazing options.
It's a surplus of riches, Anthony. Like I thought, easy. Like every name I went on, like I was like, first 2 easy. You're going to plug Evans and Godwin in there.
So let's start with the running back. Let's lock in a running back here. Dalvin Cook, Damian Pierce, James Robinson. Which of these guys are you locking in?
God, great options. All fantastic options this week. It's hard to not say Dalvin Cook, right? Like it's hard to sit there and say not Dalvin Cook. So I think it's got to be Dalvin Cook locked in.
Yep, I'm locking in Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
as well.
I'll get to some stuff on Dalvin Cook when we do Call Your Shot, but yeah, it's Dalvin Cook for me.
And then 1 wide receiver, so Godwin, Evans, or Drake London. Which of these guys are you locking in? I'd lock in Godwin.
Over Evans?
Yep.
I'm locking Mike Evans over Godwin.
Joey?
I gave all those wonderful stats on Godwin. I still have Evans higher.
Well, and then I'm locking in Godwin as my flex probably.
Yeah, so
I'm just going to start both those guys. Like Evans and Godwin are both starting.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of starting 2 wide receivers from the same team if necessary. Like maybe it limits your upside a little bit, but in Tom Brady's throwing the ball. This is a bad pass. Like this is a not great defense from the Atlanta Falcons. Hopefully we see both these guys in the end zone this week.
He led the team in he led the league in passing yards last year. So sorry, Alan Lazard just dropped a really big pass that threw me off.
Oops. Bill, do we have another question?
Yeah, we got Hunt good question, Anthony. Lewis Acosta asking Kareem Hunt or Khalil Herbert this week. It's Khalil Herbert for me. What do you think, Joey?
Yeah, Khalil Herbert. That's who I would play as well.
And then Simon, I'll throw this one. Do you lock it or Godwin full PPR?
On the last one, I'm actually going Kareem Hunt. I don't mind the matchup. Just seeing like the Chargers aren't great against the running back, neither are the Browns. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt in that last matchup over Khalil Herbert with David Montgomery back. What was this one, Joe?
Okay. Lock it or Godwin full PPR?
Godwin. Not even close. I'm going to start Godwin in that one. No nerves over there at all. Guys, about to join us right now, we've got fantasy football industry legend Scott Engel joining the show of thegameday.com. You can find him on Twitter at Scott E. the King. And today, this is just like a little appetizer of Scott because Scott is going to be joining Corey Parsons and Adam Ronis on the Better Zone from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern time as well. So everybody, welcome Scott Engel to the show. Scott, you should be up here anyway. What's up, Scott?
Thanks for having me, fellas. Good afternoon.
Thanks so much for coming on. Last time I saw you, you had a microphone in your hand. You're in a bar in Canton, Ohio with a microphone in your hand up in front of everyone. Where is it? Are you going to do some karaoke for us this morning?
Yeah, it's you just got to pick what you want. Usually I'm not much of I probably shouldn't sing, but I could rap if you wanted me to.
Simon and I were trying to remember what you sang. I remember we were jumping
Walk
up
This
and
Way,
down.
Run DMC and Aerosmith.
That's it.
Run DMC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my go-to karaoke tune. I also did Ice Ice Baby. And sometimes when I want to bust out the rock and roll tunes, I'll do Living on a Prayer.
There we go. I said it wasn't Baby Got Back, but it was in the same
guy
category.
with the shirt. Yeah.
I was like,
no, there was another guy who did Baby Got Back, and he was really good. This was at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton. We all went to a karaoke bar. Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Scott, I thought it might be fun. We do a segment called Call Your Shot, where we give out just like a hot take for this week. If we gave our Call Your Shots and then maybe got your input on what you think the likelihood of that happening is, like how you like the shots that we're calling this week. And then we got some questions coming in as well that I'd love to get to. How do you feel about that? You want to tell us if we're smart or stupid based on our shots we're calling?
Yeah, great, man. Get me in the huddle. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Here's my Call Your Shot. I'm going to kick us off. So in the Cardinals Philadelphia Eagles game, I'm expecting this to be a high scoring affair, expecting the Eagles to chuck the ball around the field. We've seen them do it individually, but I'm saying Devonta Smith and AJ Brown will both be top 12 PPR wide receivers in week 5. How you feeling about that one, Scott?
I like AJ Brown. To call Devonta Smith as a top 5, that of course that's bold, and what this segment is obviously about.
For top
12. I think he could certainly finish in the top 10 this week. That's a very good matchup, I think. And when a good wide receiver gets shut down like he did last week, especially in a good matchup upcoming, I think the team is going to try to get him the ball, hit some big plays with him. That Eagles offense is better than ever around Jalen Hurts. So, I like both of those guys this week and a lot of close calls. I am recommending Devonta Smith this week.
Awesome.
So some heat on it, but maybe not fully calling for that top 12. Joey, what was your Call Your Shot this week? You teased it a little bit a second ago.
I did. So I want to give some context. And it's Dalvin Cook to have over 120 total yards and a touchdown today. So the Chicago Bears versus running backs the last 3 weeks. A.J. Dillon, 18 carries, 61 yards. Aaron Jones, 15 carries, 132 yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions, 38 yards, and another touchdown. Damian Pierce, 20 carries, 80 total yards, a touchdown, 2 receptions, 22 yards. And Saquon Barkley, 31 carries, 146 yards, and 2 receptions for 16 yards. I think Dalvin Cook is just going to feed today. I know Alexander Madison's there, but this is the Dalvin Cook coming out party for me today. So 120 total yards and a touchdown.
What do you think on that, Scott? You like Dalvin Cook today, or maybe Joey's a little too optimistic?
I would like if I wasn't so concerned about his shoulder. A lot of the injury analysts that I respect are saying that, he could go out of a game at any time and miss 3 to 4 games.
Ugh.
So, you got to keep if you still have time to trade before game time. I would be all over Alexander Madison. I would totally agree with you if I knew he was healthy, but I just read so many people like Jesse Morse and inside injuries, and they're all really worried about Cook's shoulder because he didn't get the surgery.
I get that
Right.
completely.
But if he plays the whole game, that could certainly hit though.
Mhm.
So I could certainly see wagering on it as a player prop, etc.
Joey, if you've got Dalvin Cook with that much, where is he ranked in your weekly rankings? RB what?
Fifth.
Fifth, a top 5 running back. Okay, that checks out. That makes sense then. But if he gets that, he's probably sneaking up into that top 3 area, unless it's a crazy week for running backs. Quick update, some good news. Barkley is back in the game. Saquon Barkley back out there on the field. Woo!
Where is it? 26?
26. That was like a sigh of relief and a celebration at the same time, was the feeling that came out whenever Saquon Barkley was back on the field. JL, you got a hot take? You got a shot you're calling this week for Scott?
I do. We've talked about him a lot already this show, but I think Khalil Herbert could be a top 15 running back this week. Top 15 running back this week. David Montgomery is back.
That's hot with David Montgomery coming back.
That is hot with David Montgomery coming back. Here is why. Khalil Herbert has the 6th most red zone touches out of any running back in the NFL. His team has the 4th most team run plays per game. So they're running a ton. We know that, right? Chicago Bears, they are not throwing. They've forgotten how. Khalil Herbert has been fantastic. I know. Khalil Herbert has been fantastic. This is one of the most a pretty interesting stat to me. Khalil Herbert, according to Player Profiler, is accounting for 40% of the team's total yards and touchdowns generated by this offense. 40%. That's number 1 amongst all running backs in the NFL.
Saquon Barkley touchdown. Giants take the lead.
Let's go.
Giants are in the lead. 26-20 with 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Saquon Barkley getting in that end zone as soon as he's back on the field. Woo! Scott, did you see this coming? I'm sorry, Jail. I cut you off in the middle of your take, but just had to update everyone on that. Did you see the Giants competing in this one in London?
I thought it was going to be a lower scoring game than it was. I was taking the under on this. But I'm thinking it's 2019 because all of a sudden I see Darius Slayton involved again. Do I get a hot take to throw out there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'm over at thegameday.com. That's where you find me. And one of my top player props this week is Ramondre Stevenson. I believe it's plus 140 to be an anytime scorer TD. On DraftKings Sportsbook, and also on my fantasy column over there on thegameday.com. I talk about Damian Harris because the matchup's so obvious. Detroit has given up the most rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs, with 8 so far, the 2nd most fantasy points per game to running backs. And we know the Patriots quarterback situation. They're going to have to rely heavy on their running backs. Damian Harris is obvious at minus 105 on DraftKings, but at plus 140, I think you like Stevenson better because they both get in the end zone. And another guy that I'm looking for to hit as an anytime touchdown scorer or as a deep fantasy play if you need a wide receiver is Tyler Boyd against the worst pass defense in the NFL. We saw that 56-yard catch and run against the Jets a few weeks ago, which was beautiful. The number 3 wide receiver in the Cincinnati offense isn't always useful. If you want, number 3 wide receivers are not somebody I like to ordinarily put in my lineup. Quote to go back to the Bengals and how far you guys go back. The last number 3 wide receiver we could play almost every week was Chris Henry, but we haven't seen that in so many years. But I like Boyd today as both a fantasy option deep and as a player prop.
Yeah, I mean, here's how we're going to justify it. He's not a wide receiver 3 because Chase and Higgins are the 1A and 1B. So really, he's the wide receiver 2, right? You just got 2 wide receiver
Good
1s
enough.
in that offense. But I think Boyd is more of like a prototypical wide receiver 2 playing in that slot role. He's good enough to be a wide receiver 2 on most NFL teams. I like that call. What was your other one again? It was Tyler Boyd and then Ramondre Stevenson, which I know JL was happy hearing the Ramondre Stevenson love.
And Taysom Hill also.
Oh, now you lost me, Scott. That's where I draw the line. Is I'm the Taysom Hill love. I hate playing that game. I hate playing the Taysom Hill game.
I'll tell you why today, though. Because,
let's hear it.
Because Seattle has a lot of trouble tackling. This defense really misses Jamal Adams and Bobby Wagner. A lot of trouble against the run. You get Alvin Kamara back. You can play that RPO, especially near the goal line against the Seattle defense. Taysom Hill has a very good shot to score today.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but man, I just feel like with Taysom Hill, he'll only score when I have zero faith in him, and I'm fully like counting on the fact that like, oh, of course.
It seems like you have zero faith in him right now, so it'll work out. Yeah.
So he's gonna. That's why I can't switch, Scott. I can't switch, or you're gonna lose that bet. So I'm just gonna keep on disparaging, and then he's gonna get that touchdown for you.
What if you're missing Kyle Pitts and you're desperate? Your options are like Taysom Hill or Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, I mean. Scott, you're just trying to get me to say Taysom Hill, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Taysom Hill in that case is where I'm going. JL, I very rudely and purposefully cut you off and interrupted you while you were telling us why Khalil Herbert could be a top 15 running back. And we're not going to come back to that. So Joey, I had a question.
Fully expecting that one.
Gotcha.
JL, you were making your case for Khalil Herbert as a top 15 running back this week, and I want to hear the rest of it because I'm not bought in. I don't believe in it with David Montgomery coming back, and I wanted you to convince me.
All right. Did you remember what I said before? Or do I need to do this whole thing again?
I remember hearing, my name's JL.
Right. And you got the gist of it. You got the gist of what I said.
Man, that was a really good JL impression.
The major stat here that I was saying right before you rudely interrupted me was Khalil Herbert is according to Player Profiler is accounting for 40% of his team's total team yards and touchdowns, generated by the offense. This doesn't include defensive scores or yards. That's pretty wild. So Khalil Herbert, to me, he's got one of the easier matchups. He's going against Minnesota, which is one of the easiest matchups for running backs in fantasy. Khalil Herbert has the upside this week.
Even with David Montgomery. And Scott, I'm curious where you land on this. David Montgomery was the lead back when he left, but we saw Khalil Herbert have some monster games in his absence. How do you think he's going to perform this week with David Montgomery stepping back into this lineup?
This is a very uncertain situation. If I have a tight decision involving Herbert or Montgomery, I'm going to pivot to my other option. But I do like it as a prop based on everything that you've said. But in terms of using one of them, if it's a close decision, I'm probably going to go in the other direction. If you ask me J.K. Dobbins or Herbert, I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins. If you ask me Breece Hall or Herbert, I'm going to go with Breece Hall. I want to play it safe. Montgomery was running so hard before he got injured. I mean, if everybody on that offense played with that same level of intensity that David Montgomery does, this could be a better offense. Maybe they'd score 20 points in a game, but you just don't know what the split's going to look like. From the injury analysis that I've been reading, this is a 2 to 4 week injury, and he's coming back after a week. So it's kind of dicey. I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit, but from a fantasy perspective, I'd rather play it safe for a situation where I know the guy is getting a better chunk of the workload.
That makes sense. And I think I'm right in line with you there, Scott. Like I see the outlook. I see the path for Khalil Herbert to maintain this relevance rest of season. I just want to see it with Montgomery on the field first before I start plugging him into my lineups every week. If you're going to do it, this is a good week with Montgomery, like fresh off this injury coming back in. But I'm with you. Now, guys, before we move on, we had a super chat question come in here. So Vicia, thank you so much for the super chat. The question is, full PPR, need to start 2 wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and Jacoby Myers. So one of those players is sitting. Scott, I'll come to you first. Out of those 3 players, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and Jacoby Myers, which one of those would you be putting on your bench this week?
Definitely Jacoby Myers. I mean, the guy never scores when Mac Jones plays, and now they have a huge quarterback problem. Plus, there's an injury. You know, I don't want to date myself by saying this, but a lot of people are watching it. This have probably grew up in the 90s. Jacoby Myers is the Beavis of fantasy football. He never scores.
Scott, you know, my parents, when I was in preschool, my parents got a phone call because their 4-year-old son at preschool was putting his shirt over his head and running around saying, "I am Cornholio" to all the kids at recess, and it was inappropriate.
I need Jacoby Myers for my bunghole.
That's where he belongs. Put Jacoby Myers in your bunghole. Fantastic.
Scott Engel, Scott E. the King with that fantasy football advice right there. I'm with you. It's Jacoby Myers on the bench for me.
He's injured anyway.
I know you mentioned you don't want to start any of these Steelers, but if these are your options, are you starting Deontay Johnson here?
You have to start 2 wide receivers. So if we're benching Jacoby Myers, I think we lock in Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying is like, are you starting Deontay Johnson over Jacoby Myers, Joey?
Yeah, I'm not getting too cute. I know I said I don't want to start any Steelers, but between Jacoby Myers and Deontay Johnson, I'm starting Deontay Johnson.
And then looking at the running backs, they've got CEH, Antonio Gibson, and Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook is a lock in there. Are you going CEH or Antonio Gibson, Scott?
I can't do Antonio Gibson. You know, he hasn't seized the opportunity at all with Brian Robinson out. And even if Robinson's on a pitch count, we just haven't seen enough from Robinson. You know, CEH is operating in a committee. You do see some Pacheco. You do see some McKinnon. But he's been their goal line back. And we know that's a powerful offense, and it should be a high-scoring game against the Raiders. Although, you know, maybe not fully explosive because sometimes divisional games are a little lower scoring than we expect. But, you know, the way that Edwards-Helaire has been getting in the end zone, I think you have to keep using him because I think they're finding a comfort level with him. He hasn't turned out to be that feature back. But some running backs, and it doesn't matter what their size is, they have a nose for the goal line. We saw this with Reggie Bush. He wasn't a big guy, but he had a nose for the goal line because there's an art that LeGarrette Blount talked about running near the goal line. You have to know leverage. You have to know to squeeze into tight spots, etc. And some running backs get that and some don't. And I think CEH has found a niche as a goal line runner for the Chiefs, so I'm going to use him.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I've been coming to a similar conclusion, Scott, where like I keep looking at these usage numbers for CEH and I'm like, it has to come back down to earth. It has to come back down to earth. This isn't sustainable. But then I start thinking, and like there's some players where your typical process, like maybe it doesn't matter. Derrick Henry, he gets 400 touches multiple seasons in a row. Well, he's going to keep on rolling being the same Derrick Henry, even though that's not typically what we see. Maybe CEH in this high-powered Chiefs offense can continue fantasy success off of these like less than lead back opportunities that we're seeing from him. One of my bigger misses this offseason, I feel like, was completely fading CEH, just getting out from underneath him.
You are
not
alone.
a fan.
You are
now that question. So we just hit 2 sides of that question. Here's the gross part: Antonio Gibson or Jacoby Myers in your flex. So JL, would you be plugging of the 2 players that we didn't start? One of them has to be flex. Would you be throwing Antonio Gibson or Jacoby Myers in there?
It would be it would be Antonio Gibson, not Jacoby Myers. Against Tennessee, it's middle pack matchup. I agree with Scott. I'm worried about Gibson, but Jacoby Myers is more likely to put up a dud than be anything meaningful this week.
Yeah,
absolutely. Are you agreeing, Scott?
Yeah, I can't play Jacoby Myers, you know, with those quarterback issues there. I know it's Detroit, but and you guys know this, it's not always about the matchup. It's about can the player take advantage of the matchup.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have – look, backup quarterbacks, everybody assumes that when you go from the starter to the backup's going to stink and everything's going to fall apart. But if it's a veteran backup, maybe not. We've seen Geno Smith, Cooper Rush, etc. play pretty well. But when you go to an inexperienced backup, then there's a big difference.
Yeah. Then it becomes Tom Brady on the Patriots, right? That's what happens. The Patriots have to bench their starter, unexpected player gets it.
Trent Green goes down, yeah.
Bailey Zappi, next Tom. I'm just kidding. It's Matt Jones.
Are we sure that's his real name?
Zappy.
Yeah, Zappy. Sounds like a nickname they gave him in middle school.
Yeah, like he's a video game developer instead of a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got it. You know what's going on, Scott.
Yeah.
I love his name.
Well,
I hope he has
I
a
just
career.
need to know. I don't mean to interrupt here, but what are all those books behind you? Is that all like NFL media guys
Yes!
or something like that?
Yes!
It's like I'm very interested to see everything you're reading
closet
there. That's
librarian.
cool.
Before I answer your question, were you prompted to say that?
No, it's just
Okay,
I
so-
saw that
no,
in your
it's very-
background. I'm like
That guy
that's very
reads.
cool. What is everything that he's
No,
reading?
these
You know,
are
it's like-
these are all films. These are all movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I used to be a
wow.
film critic, but the joke
Really?
has been on FYF. What are all those books behind you? What are all those laser discs or those CDs? So when you said that, I dropped my head because it was very funny.
And we
Yeah,
laugh.
people
why they
ask him
laugh.
all
It's a
the
running
time.
joke.
Yeah, we
It's a running joke.
consistently
What
just
is your
name
favorite
things.
film, Bob? That's behind you.
My favorite film
Ooh.
that's behind me. So my favorite film of all time is Almost Famous, but I say that all the time.
Wow.
I'm gonna say The Third Man with
Wow, I don't think I've seen that. I'm gonna have to check
The
that
Third
out.
Man. Oh, it's excellent.
The Third Man. Yeah, I've never heard it. I'm writing it down to make it almost famous.
Me
I've
too.
seen that one. That's the one with
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the sunglasses.
That's
Yeah.
a
The
good
jail limits me to 30 seconds of movie talk, so now I'm not allowed to talk anymore.
Yeah, but we can
I'm
talk
kidding.
books forever. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk
Every
books.
time someone calls it books behind there, you get another 30 seconds, Joey. Every time someone calls it something that's not movies, we add another 30 seconds to your timer.
No, I've been collecting
Um,
films for over 25 years. So
Wow.
yeah.
Guys, Giants
That's
are up by
wild.
7 right now with a minute and 11
Man.
seconds left.
Who has the ball?
Green Bay.
The Green Bay's.
Green Bay has the ball. Where are they on the field? Do we know? Where are they sitting?
I'm not sure
Looks
yet.
like they're
It's
right
not-
near the goal line. I have second and
Oh, yeah.
forward
I think I'm
about
behind.
about the 9.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
that's
seeing that
awesome.
right now. 2nd and 4 on the 8-yard line. There's a little over a minute left. The Packers down by 7. Are we going to get another overtime game here? Didn't London get overtime last week, or am I making that up? London got overtime last week, right?
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah.
And so, what a
It's the
treat
game.
for London. If 2 weeks in a row they get overtime games in London, that is so sick. Scott, this is kind of random. It's less fantasy impact, but I wanted to ask you, with these London games, it starts like you see the rumor mill popping up again about expanding the NFL into London, moving a team over to London. How do you feel about that? Would you be in support of like a London team starting up, a permanent London home team?
I probably feel less strongly about it than other people, but I think it might be a thing of where it's too unique in terms of travel for teams.
Yeah.
Things like that, and putting them out of their weekly clock. I see what the NFL wants to do. I think what they're doing now, I think it works fine. It's like I'm a Seahawks fan. I'm going to get up early next week, to watch the Seahawks in London. I think it's cool. It in a way, from a is that an interception?
It was close. It wasn't quite an
Yeah,
interception.
it wasn't. But I think what they do is putting these games on a standalone platform and giving the people in London an opportunity to see different teams all the time. Because what if they put the team in London and, it ends up being like the Jets? It's not gonna, over all these years, like how many decades have the Jets not been good? And, what if that's your team in London for like 5 decades? So I like when they have different teams there every week.
Is the
Giants
game over?
win. Giants win. Yep, they stopped them.
Giants win the game. I think there's still some time left, right? They got to need a clock
Giants
out, right?
4-1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
What?
Oh, God.
There's a minute left, so they'll be able to kneel it out.
Our
I'm
coworker Jay is not going to shut up for at least a week.
He's going to be
about this.
mad because there's no way.
Oh.
There is no way this Giants team is actually a good team, right? Like this, I know they're 4-1. It's week 5, and I feel insane, but this isn't a 4-1 team that's sitting at 4-1, right? This is a bad football team that's at 4-1.
I don't want to try to take over things, but
Do it.
Look,
You're the king.
Bill Parcells says your record is what says you are, okay? If you want to be a good team, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. If you want to be a good team, you win a game like this. I would agree with you if you say, okay, the Giants are not going to make a deep playoff run or whatever. But when you have a 4-1 record if you beat teams you're supposed to beat, and then you beat Green Bay like this, you deserve credit for it. Nobody's going to say the Giants are going to the Super Bowl, but to say they're not a good team, I don't agree with that because they're 4-1. I think they've earned what their record is so far. They're playing well. They're winning. Winning teams win when they have to win. Losing teams don't. So, respectfully, I disagree with that. They're not good.
Putting me in my place. No, I like what you're saying. I watch this team and I'm like, man, like I think what it is like I see them and I'm like, this isn't a playoff team. This isn't a playoff team. And I look at them like as one of the teams that I'm viewing near top of the draft order, but they're getting it done. They're absolutely getting it done.
Why can't they be a wild card team? It can happen. People said the same thing about the Seahawks. Oh, they're going to win 4 games. And they're better than anybody expected just by being 500.
Yeah.
Maria in the chat, Giants fan, JL's fiance says, thank you. A bunch of haters over here. Scott coming in, just shutting down the haters on that one.
No, I'm with Scott. I said it after the Bills, Bills Dolphins game. This topic came up. I think Dustin came into our morning show and was like, they shouldn't have won. Yeah, they shouldn't have won. No, they deserve the win. They got the win. They deserve the win.
Absolutely. JL, did we have some more questions in the chat that we should be hitting over here?
So many more questions. We got, what's up, fellas? Deontay Johnson or Damian Harris from Calvo, PPR. Deontay Johnson or Damian Harris?
It's going to be Damian Harris for me. I'm curious if Scott agrees on that one because we've been shying away from most of these Pittsburgh players.
I'm all about Damian Harris. We were talking about it earlier. He scored in 3 consecutive games. And the Lions have allowed the most rushing touchdowns to running back with Bailey Zappi at quarterback. They have to rely heavily on the running backs to control the clock and keep that Lions defense off the field, and just to exploit the matchup. I like both Harris and I was talking about him on the GameDay.com this week, and also on my props, my article over there on the Game Day. I like Ramondre Stevenson as just outside the top 20 running back. And as a prop play on DraftKings, plus 140, anytime touchdown scorer. And you can do the easy prop, too, with Damian Harris at minus 105.
Yeah. Harris has had a touchdown in 3 straight games. And rolling him out there for sure.
Yeah.
That's hot. That is nice.
Everybody talked about Stevenson like he's going to take over because people want things to happen. But Damian Harris has had 15-plus carries in 2 of the last 3 games.
Yeah. It's not fantasy managers get fantasy laser vision, right? When they're looking at these decisions, like why aren't the coaches just feeding? Man, the amount of times Austin Powers has been brought up in the last 24 hours for me is more than it has been in the last 4 years combined. Like it has been a heavy Austin Powers, specifically gold member 24 hours for me. Just all the references over and over and over again.
Do you have that film behind you back there?
I do. Do I? Yes, I do. 1 second.
Are you really just able to pull out Austin Powers gold member?
Awesome.
That's incredible. That's
name another movie. Let's play this game.
For the next 30 minutes, we're going to play this.
Creed
Joe,
2.
have them.
I do not have Creed 2.
Wait.
I might.
Joe's like, actually, I do.
I have the Rocky set, but it's not in the Rocky.
By the way, the director's cut of Rocky 4, fantastic.
Oh, dude, Rocky 4 is awesome.
No, the director's cut.
You got to see the director's cut. I haven't even seen. I got to watch Rocky 4 first, and then the director's cut.
Oh my gosh!
I haven't seen a lot of movies. People always hate on me for my movie choices. JL, do we have some more questions?
Carlos,
I think we can hit a couple more real quick.
Here asking Josh Reynolds or Tyler Lockett this week. What do you guys think about that one? Josh Reynolds or Tyler Lockett?
With Amon-Ra St. Brown playing,
I'd go Tyler Lockett.
I think I'm going Lockett as well in this one. Yeah. What about you, Scott?
I go Lockett too. You can also check out on Seahawks.com. I do their fantasy content every week. DK Metcalf's going to be going against Marshawn Lattimore. And I know Lockett hasn't scored a touchdown yet this year, but he's been very consistent as a chain mover and possession receiver. He's not the same receiver he was playing with Russell Wilson, catching those moon balls, but now he knows how to be a possession, high percentage guy for Geno Smith. And he's been catching a consistent amount of balls with Marshawn Lattimore covering Metcalf. there's going to be a great battle going on there for us who like to watch from a pure NFL perspective, but that could limit his fantasy ceiling. I think Lockett's going to catch a lot of important key passes for the Seahawks today. I'm definitely going with Lockett.
We'll see if Lattimore can get another player suspended this week.
Geno Smith.
DK's been losing his temper last year, but
happen.
he's coming to this year trying to be a team leader and not lose his temper as much. So, I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
Scott, with the way Geno Smith has been playing, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what the hell was going on that this dude wasn't a starter last year or the year before? Like I'm looking at it. Do you think this is him leveling up his game, or do you think these teams maybe searching for a starting quarterback made a mistake not looking Geno Smith's way?
I think, we talked about it a lot of times. A lot of times when they go to the backup quarterback, people assume the guy stinks. But there's a reason why, guys like this have hung around the league. And sometimes we see backup quarterbacks. You can go all the way back to Rodney Peete, Steve Berline, guys like that. And they come in and they play well, and people are surprised because they assume the backup quarterback's going to stink. And that's not what it is. Geno Smith sat behind Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Russell Wilson and learned a lot from them over the years. And he's making crisp decisions. He's accurate. He's taking care of the football. This is what Pete Carroll wants from his quarterback. High percentage throws, sometimes go deep, take care of the football, and it's working. He's got playmakers. He's got Metcalf. He's got Lockett. He likes Will Dissly. We can see that. Geno's shocked everybody just by playing respectably, but he's not only playing respectably, he's outstanding. And people were laughing at me 2 weeks ago when I said they were mocking me when I was saying, you can stream Geno Smith. If you have a quarterback problem, you lost Trey Lance or something, say, oh, you're just a Seahawks fan, you're a homer. And then he went out and blew up against the Lions. Okay, you're right. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but I was right on Geno at least being respectable.
Absolutely.
Scott, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come up here and hang out with us today.
Much,
talk some ball, talk some movies. Really appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to do it anytime. Check me out at thegameday.com, and I'm looking forward to my reunion with Corey Parson and Adam Ronis here at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Guys, if you want to get in on that reunion, some Corey, Adam, and Scott right here on Better Sports Network. They're going to be on from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure to do that. Scott, thank you so much, my man, and enjoy your game day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, Scott. Have a great day, Scott. See you next year in Canton. He's gone.
Killing it on the karaoke.
Oh, that was so much fun to have him on.
Guys, it was so much fun. The Packers got a safety. It is now 27-22. We're going to keep on answering your questions leading up to game time. I know it is crunch time for those lineup decisions, so stick around. Keep on listening to Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy here on the Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
JL, I think this is the game everyone's been waiting for, and the moment in this game that we are probably going to have to talk about for at least the next 15 minutes. The Miami Dolphins took down the Buffalo Bills 21-19, and we got to talk about it. The play of the game, the butt punt.
The butt punt.
Punted straight into Trent Sherfield's abyss between his legs is where that
booty
football
patootie.
It was straight up there. It could not have been aimed better up that Tuchus. Like, he just went for it. Like, you look at the picture, shout out USA Today photographer that caught that image, because wow, moment of impact, and you can really see just how well aimed between the cheeks that ball was. And Craig said, did y'all see Mark Sanchez's tweet to the punter? I did. Mark Sanchez tweets, stay out of my lane, bro.
That's pretty good.
I love all these self-aware tweets yesterday. Mark Sanchez, Orlovsky, like they're just coming in and like poking fun at themselves.
Yeah.
That's pretty good stuff right there.
Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media.
Speaking of TV, last night I tried to watch Aaron Judge.
Did you watch the K-Rod broadcast?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Look, I went to ESPN Plus and I'm like, I want to watch this K-Rod thing because they had Roger Clemens and they had Barry Bonds on.
Nice.
At the same time, Bonds brought up when Clemens hit him on his piece of armor. And Clemens was like, oh, it was a strike, man. It was a strike.
No, like, Clemens was like, if you wear, and I don't blame Clemens, if you wear that thing, right, that piece of armor, and you on top of the plate like that, target
Yeah.
practice. I'm gonna see if I can hit that joint.
But dude, it was, and he was. I mean, Clemens, like it was a strike. Get off the plate is basically what he said.
Yeah, exactly. Get off the plate.
Could you imagine the three of them? Like you're Michael K, and you're sitting there with Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez,
and Roger.
Three guys who should be in the Hall of Fame and are not. Like who should have been like first ballot slam dunk Hall of Famers.
That's the problem. That's the problem with the game.
We should get them on the show. All three of them together on this show.
That'd be cool. Corey Nando and friends. They're the friends.
We're the friends. I mean, why not, right? They seem like nice guys.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
I just started watching the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix last night, which I knew a lot.
That looks pretty freaky, man. Is it as frightening and kind of eerie as it looks?
Yeah, it's disturbing. Like, you know, there's no.
You think he ate people, Ray? It better be disturbing.
Well,
to you.
I know the story. He ate people and murders. I knew, but I didn't know he was drunk all the time. And
well, Ray, I mean, we've all been there. You get the munchies when you're drunk. That would be actually a defense in court. Your Honor, I was drunk the whole time. I was hungry and I needed food, and my neighbor was there.
Right.
What am I supposed to do?
I found, and he had like beer cans all over his place. There was a lot of Miller and Bud. I guess he was not only was he a person of opportunity with the killings, he was a beer drinker of opportunity. Because I don't think you normally do one and the other. You should do one or the other.
I don't want to tell AB or Miller how to do their business, but don't go marketing that Jeffrey Dahmer loved your beer while he was eating kidneys.
.6:23 to go. Game tied at 20. First and goal Giants at the 2. Wildcat formation with Barkley and Brightwell this time. Jones lined up left. Saquon takes the snap. Saquon bounces outside. Barkley's in for the touchdown, and the Giants have the lead with 6:08 to go.
Welcome back to Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy. That was the Giants radio with that call of the Saquon Barkley touchdown. And it is official. The New York Giants have upset the Green Bay Packers in London, 27-22 on that one. JL, I don't know that you called them winning, but you called them at least covering that 13.5 points at halftime. Well, they did more than that. They won right out after being down 10 at halftime. And you know what? Scott put me in my place a little bit. He said respectfully, and he was being respectful. But as I listened to him, I was like, you know what? I'm sitting here telling a team that has only lost one game, won 4 games, that they are a bad team, and that's not right. That's not right. I'm going to hold my tongue and wait until they've lost the next 4, and then I'll call them a bad team. So I'll just be respectful and not say anything until their record matches what I think they actually are, which is frauds. You're frauds, the New York Giants. I'm just trying to get a reaction out of Maria in the chat, seeing if I can get her to call me a hater again. Before we get into answering some more of your questions, I wanted to run through some of the big inactives, the ones that lots of people are asking questions about. Amon-Ra St. Brown is active. Alvin Kamara is also active. Jarvis Landry out. So if you got Jarvis Landry in your lineup, take him out of there. Dawson Knox is out this week as well. So if he was in your lineup, Kyle Pitts also out. So make sure he is out of your lineup as well. But Chris Godwin expected to play. Russell Gage, Mike Evans. Most of these players still out there playing. Not a bad week for last-minute injuries compared to some of these other weeks. We've most things are going as expected according to plan as we come into Sunday, which is more than can be said for weeks 4 and 3. We had some surprises the past couple weeks. JL, did we have some more questions in here? I know we're getting close to kickoff. 20 minutes until kickoff. I want to make sure we're helping people that need that additional help going up to these games starting.
Yeah, we got plenty of questions. If we miss yours, repost them in the chat. We will try to get to as many as we can here with the remaining time that we have. So we got Truly Epic, good friend in here. Hunter Rendell either said James Conner or Khalil Herbert, full PPR. What do you think this week, Joey?
Man, that's a line for me for sure. I'm going to go James Robinson. I'm not. James Conner, but I'm not happy about it. I really don't like the matchup for Conner today. But I'm still a little bit off Herbert because there's going to be a timeshare there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sam?
This is not I'm high on James Conner. I'm with Joey. It's a good enough option to shift from the uncertainty of Khalil Herbert, like Scott was talking about. So I'm going James Conner. It's a tough matchup, though. I expect this to be like a high scoring game. And James Conner is the kind of running back that can get game scripted out, right? Like he's not the kind of running back that if it turns into a shootout, he's going to be the main guy. He's going to be fine. You can get game scripted out in these matchups.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Well, then just quickly, is it James Conner or Ezekiel Elliott this week?
Zeke.
Does that change it?
Zeke. Give me Zeke.
Zeke against the Rams, I'm not super excited about. I'll go James Conner over Zeke this week.
I get it. It's a tough matchup for Zeke as well. I guess they're both tough matchups, and I have more faith in Zeke than I do in James Conner. So that's where I'm going that way. But I don't blame you for going Conner there.
Totally fair. TX in here asking Kirk Cousins or Trevor Lawrence this week.
Ooh, Trevor Lawrence has a decent matchup. The one thing that scared me off of that one, I know we've talked about this a little bit, is that I'm not sure how much Trevor Lawrence has to pass the ball to win this game today. Like, I think it's going to be a decently high-scoring game. Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good game if Houston can figure out how to score. So, man, I just feel like this is going to be the James Robinson and that might limit Lawrence's upside, but I think I'm still going Trevor Lawrence here. I'll go Trevor Lawrence, but it's very close.
What about you, Joey?
My logic is right with you, Simon, but on the other side of the ball,
I was gonna say,
but so it's Trevor Lawrence for me pretty confidently, because I don't think the Vikings are going to have to pass very much today. I mean, you're still starting Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, but I think this Houston Jacksonville game could be very competitive, and
A question in here from Hassan in the Better Sports Network app. He wanted to know Zay Jones or Josh Reynolds, or I can play both and bench Kareem Hunt. I'm not playing both and benching Kareem Hunt. I'm leaving Kareem Hunt in that lineup. It's a good enough matchup against this Chargers game. One of the higher over-unders of the day as well. I'm probably benching Zay Jones in that one. What about you, Joey?
So Zay Jones one more time?
Or Josh Reynolds. Or you can take Hunt out and play both of them.
No, I'll stick with you on that. I do like Zay Jones this week. I'm not completely against him. So which means I do not like Agnew. So everybody get Agnew out of your lineups.
The Zay Jones injury is probably that little tiebreaker for me. What about you, JL?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Sitting Zay Jones out of that group. We're gonna be hopping around these questions here. So if we don't get yours, feel free to post it again. We'll try and hit them all.
Absolutely. And before we do that, I did want to remind everyone in the chat, we are hosting a Fanduel contest this week. I'm going to post that link back in there right now. Click that button, get your lineup in. You've got about 20 minutes to get it in. If you're able to beat everybody in there, come in first place. You will win your choice of a piece of FYF merch. JL, the 1 week we've done this so far, no one could take you down. They couldn't beat you.
I won.
What's the secret sauce in your lineup this week? You got a little secret sauce? What's your move? Give them a sneak peek at what's going to beat them.
You got to rub the top of your head and pat your tummy. That's how you do it. That'll get you the win. Yep.
And what'll really get you the win is if you can do one arm this way and one arm this way at the same time. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's too
so.
hard.
That's why I didn't win.
We got James Walsh in the YouTube chat saying Jamal Williams or James Robinson this week.
Both. Start them both.
Yeah, don't make us pick.
Who the hell are you? Like, what's your flex spot that you can't get both of those guys in there? Is it really that good? Because those are top tier running back options. This week.
It's my running back 10 and running back 11. So it's Williams.
They're close. Mm-hmm. Try and get them both in it again.
Williams for me as well, but I want James Robinson in that lineup.
I did see somebody's name was Post Malone Lisa, and I made me chuckle.
That's a good one.
Aaron Lopez said, "Answer my questions, you three musketeers."
Whoa! Did you know there's actually 4 in the book? Yeah,
I think there's 4.
Yeah, it's called the Three Musketeers, but there are 4 of them.
Now, were they mice originally, or was that just the Disney adaptation?
Could be.
In the book, I haven't read the original book.
Yeah.
Huh.
I just saw
I'll have to
the
look into
Iron
that.
Mask.
All right, we got another question in here from Nathaniel Barnes. Said DJ Moore or David Montgomery, PPR flex.
DJ Moore or David Montgomery, is that the options?
Yeah.
I'm sad.
Sorry, you go ahead, Joey, while I just sit here and process that decision that some poor soul has to make.
I'll take the unknown of David Montgomery over what I know is going to happen with San Francisco and DJ Moore today. So it's David Montgomery for me.
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I'll just plug in my favorite player, DJ Moore, and accept the 4 targets, 3 receptions, and 37 yards that he gets out on the field against the 49ers. But I just know what he can do. So, give me DJ Moore, and I'm going to cry. while he
So
does
I have
it.
to break the tie here.
Yeah.
Oh God. Who's DJ Morgan playing against?
The 49ers.
49ers. You just said. Okay.
Yeah, they're going up against the 49ers.
I'll go with you, Simon. I'll go DJ Moore. David Montgomery worries me this week.
No, don't join my side.
Sorry,
you should be on the other side.
I have to.
You know what? With your call your shot being Khalil Herbert as a top 15 running back this week, you really do have to, don't you?
I really do.
That checks out. Yeah, that would be difficult unless you're thinking the Bears have 2 top 15 running backs this week.
No, I do not. Don't put
that
on.
Would be a bold call.
Jay Ambrose asking full PPR. Should I start Kareem Hunt in the morning game or wait to try and start questionable CeeDee Lamb, who is on the groin index? I have no one else to start.
I would probably roll with Lamb. And then if you have a desperation, go grab Noah Brown. Because this might be the last week Noah Brown will be fantasy relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. But I'm starting Lamb out of those two. Jackson asking Deontay Johnson, Juju, or Robert Woods, PPR. What do you think?
I need to check my rankings, but so it's Deontay Johnson, Juju, or Robert Woods.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like Robert Woods this week. It's not what my rankings say, but you know what? No, it's Juju because of that matchup and the point total that could be there in that Chiefs and Raiders game.
Right, you, Simon. Oh, Simon, you with us?
Simon is frozen.
Frozen. I thought he was just over there being quiet.
It's like Encino, man.
Yeah.
Just frozen and ice.
This is
it's
tough
us now, JL.
That's fine. This is the better crew.
I think so.
So did you end up going Juju?
Yeah, I did go Juju.
I think I would go Juju too.
Yeah. I want nothing to do with the Steelers game today. I don't even want to watch it. If it's on a TV, I'm going to run away as fast as I can.
And that Darnell Mooney is a top 10 wide receiver in my eyes.
Top 10. Okay. Top 10. Good to know. Simon, which are you going with here? Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, or Robert Woods?
Man, like the answer is Juju Smith-Schuster, but there is a chance he doesn't play on Monday night. So, like, in order to do this, you have to make sure you have a backup option. I'm going Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster. Oh, he myth him so much. They haven't seen each other in forever, and he just mytheth him over and over again. He might myth the game, actually, and that's why I'm not. If Juju myths the game, then you're in a problem. But I think I'm still going Juju. Just make sure, whether on the waiver wire, trade for it, like get somebody you can plug in, even if it's Sky Moore. Like you just need somebody that you can plug in, a backup tight end for the Chiefs. Like just have a secondary player ready for Monday night. That way, worst case scenario, Juju's not playing. You can plug in Mac Hollins. You can plug in Sky Moore. Like you can plug in, I forget who the tight end is that's been catching random touchdowns for the Chiefs, but have those players ready.
Yeah, I'm with you. Lucius in here. What up, Lucius? Let's start sit, all half PPR. Jeff Wilson or Ramondre Stevenson. Also on another team, Jeff Wilson or Marquise Brown. So let's do Jeff Wilson, Ramondre Stevenson, Marquise Brown. How are you ranking those guys, Joey?
Brown, Wilson, Ramondre.
Brown, Wilson, Ramondre for me too.
Brown,
excuse me.
Wilson, Ramondre for me as well. As much as you want to paint me as a Jeff Wilson hater, I like him. I just don't love him. Maybe one day I'll love him.
Maybe one day. Alex Fassbender asking Goff or Brady this week. It is Brady for me. Brady's got that sweet matchup. You guys on the Brady train here?
Yeah, give me Brady. Get out of here, Goff.
Give me Brady. Brandon Powell asking James Conner or Najee Harris. Ooh.
Conner.
Joey?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might actually go Najee here.
God,
that's the line. They're back to back, and I really don't like James Conner as much as I don't like Najee.
You know what? I'm with you. I'm going Najee Harris too.
Yeah.
Give me James Conner. Just keep me away from that Steelers team this week. Like, oh.
That's fair. Damon asking Marquise Brown or Chris Olave at the flex. Marquise Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos is saying, good morning, fellas. Should I start Monty or Najee? Najee Harris. Easy.
Najee Harris. Yeah, I just, as much as I'm avoiding that, I'm avoiding David Montgomery coming back off an injury with Khalil Herbert showing up. It's Najee Harris.
Yep. Khalil in here saying, what's up, guys? QB1, Burrow or Goff? Appreciate. We just talked about Tom Brady or Goff. Is it Burrow for you guys?
Yeah, Burrow for me.
Yeah, it is very much a Burrow. Didn't Scott just mention that the Ravens have the worst pass defense in the league when it comes to opposing fantasy wide receivers.
Yes, they do.
Which I know as a Ravens fan, it's probably not fun, but as a neutral fan, like watching these games, I love that a Lamar Jackson-led offense has the worst pass defense in the league. Like there's not a better combination in the NFL than quarterback plus bad defense than Lamar Jackson plus a bad passing D. Like it just makes it so much fun.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. We got another question in here from Andy saying full PPR, pick one, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, or Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's not a name that we've talked about a lot today. What do you guys think? Tyler Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson.
I would play Lockett over Wilson. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's definitely not Johnson. You're deciding between Lockett and Wilson. I think it's Lockett for me as well. Wilson's exciting. I just want to see a little bit more with Zach Wilson, the Wilson to Wilson connection.
Wilson. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Tyler Lockett for me this week. Full PPR. Let's see, we hit that question. Elver said Taysom Hill, Evan Ingram, or Tyler Conklin. Ooh. Elver digging in the
glob. So what were the three options? They were Conklin and who else?
Evan Ingram, or Taysom Hill.
Oh man, I think the answer is
Conklin for me.
Conklin. Like I think you have to go Conklin with how he's being used. Going up against Miami, it's not a crazy hard matchup, but it's Conklin.
Yeah, Conklin for me too. But Evan Ingram's not too far behind, so if you felt strongly about him, I'd be okay with that.
God, I'm so anti Taysom Hill this week that it really Scott's got in my head now that it feels like a Taysom Hill week. Like Andy Dalton getting the start at quarterback, going up against the Seahawks, but I just can't do it. I can't plug Taysom Hill in when he's going to get 8 snaps. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't do it.
We got a super chat from Mr. O Light.
Yeah!
Good morning, gentlemen. Duvernay or Brandon Ayuk? It is Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk.
It's Ayuk, but I like where your head's at with Duvernay. He is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in today's game for the Ravens, but I assume Andrews is going to be the best receiving option there.
Get Duvernay in a DFS lineup. You
know
what I mean? Like that's a perfect kind of play. Go like if you want to start Duvernay, go create a DFS lineup and shove Duvernay in there because he's the dude that can have 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. Like that's the kind of player that he is.
Yeah. And we got another question from Jolin from the Better Sports Network app. Chat said Duvernay or Gallup. Does that interest you at all?
That's where I go.
Duvernay?
That's where I go Duvernay.
I'll go Duvernay there.
All right, I'll go Duvernay as well. But it's pretty close. Nicholas with another super chat to Devontae Smith, Thielen, or MVS.
Ooh, now that's a good question. I got to go Devonta Smith here. I'm expecting this to be a shootout. I think both receivers are going to be heavily involved, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I'm going there. But Thielen, it's a good question. I don't mind Thielen this week against the Lions.
Absolutely.
Right, mm-hmm. Yep, I am right there with you guys. I'm going.
Sorry, I said Lions. I meant Bears. I said the wrong word.
Oh my.
We don't tolerate not knowing who teams are playing on this show.
No, it's Joey. It was a problem with me not knowing my animals, not knowing who they were playing. I just get those mixed up in my head all the time. Lions and Bears.
We got Oliver asking Zeke or Deontay half PPR this week. What do you think?
Zeke. Truly, if you have anybody on the Steelers and you have an option that you think is at least comparable, like if you're asking a question, I'm probably going with the non-Steeler. Like if they're in the same tier, I'm probably shying away from the Steeler this week.
Oh, we got JP with a super chat in here. It's saying Devin Singletary, Ramondre Stevenson, Breece Hall, or J.K. Dobbins need to half PPR. Please, I always leave the points on my bench. We got you. All right, Devin Singletary, Ramondre Stevenson, Breece Hall, or J.K. Dobbins. I'm throwing Dobbins in there. Oh man, the next choice is tough. What do you guys think between?
See, I don't even know. I don't even know if Dobbins is the lock. Like I'm not positive that Dobbins is the lock here.
It's Singletary and it went away, and Breece Hall for me. Singletary's averaging 10 attempts per game, but 8 targets and 62 yards right now. It just, I mean, oh man.
This is close. You've got a lot of really good options here in this matchup. I love Singletary this week. I do. I think I've got to get Singletary in there. And then it's super close between Ramondre and J.K. Dobbins for me. I'll go Ramondre. I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson and Devin Singletary here. But, man, that's a tough decision to make, man. That's a lot of running backs in that same tier.
Yeah, I'd go Dobbins and Stevenson. I get they are super close. So I honestly don't think you can go wrong with any combination of the 4 here.
JP said I always leave points on the bench, and all 3 of us gave a different combo of 2 running backs down them out over there.
Listen, you drafted well. You got a solid running back core, so it's a good problem to have. Good problem to have.
Absolutely.
All right, Josh Benito asking Juju Smith-Schuster or Scary Terry at wide receiver 2, and Jeff Wilson or Damian Harris at flex. Let's start with the first one, Juju or Scary Terry.
This is interesting because Terry McLaurin's in that tier of like good enough, I think, that I'm not taking that risk with Juju not playing on Monday night. But also this Monday night game is expected to be a real shootout between the Chiefs and the Raiders. So I hate missing pieces there. I talked myself into it. I'm taking that risk. Make sure you got a backup plan ready. Go with Juju Smith-Schuster. Just have someone ready to plug in case. See if Matt Collins is on your waiver wire.
What do you think, Joey?
Juju for me.
All right, Juju as well. Jeff Wilson or Damian Harris?
Man, now we're getting spicy.
Yeah, Damian Harris for me. He's had a touchdown in 3 straight games. Like that's.
What do you think, Sam?
Can't discount that.
It's Damian Harris for me as well. It's a great matchup going against the Detroit Lions for them. So I'm going to go Damian Harris. You going Jeff, Jail?
No, I'm going Damian Harris as well.
Suck it, Jeff.
Skip around these. Hey, guys, Dobbins or Jamal Williams from JT. Dobbins or Jamal Williams? That's tough. I'm going Jamal Williams too. Oh. And then we got, let's see, Caden in here asking Gabe Davis or Curtis Samuel half PPR. I'm going Gabe Davis.
Now, that's a great question.
That is a great question. Both of these guys kind of on different trajectories. Gabe Davis been disappointing so far throughout the year. Curtis Samuel way outperforming expectations, but on those low value targets, I'm torn up on this one. I think I'm probably going to go Gabe Davis because, like, what's the upside with Curtis Samuel in this matchup against Tennessee? Like, 11 targets, 60 yards. Like, Gabe Davis could have a 2-touchdown game here. I'll go Gabe Davis. Just upside.
If Isaiah McKenzie was not declared out, I would have said Curtis Samuel, but I'm going to go Gabe Davis now by default. Man,
yeah,
that's my favorite question we've had today because it really made me like think.
Really made me think.
They all make me think, but that one I really.
Joey's like, just so everyone else knows, I haven't even spent a second of thought on any of your questions.
What do the rankings say? Stick to them. No, I think this is a great question.
Post Malone Elisa said full PPR, tight end 1.5. So tight end premium 1.5 points. Sit 1, Pat Freiermuth, Kareem Hunt, or Rashad Penny. Which of these guys are you sitting in full PPR?
Say them again. Pat Freiermuth, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny.
Yep.
I'm sitting Pat. I'm sitting the tight end. Give me the 2 running backs, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny.
Even at 1.5 point tight end premium?
Yeah, I still think so. I still think I'm starting the 2 running backs. I'm very nervous here. Though we could see Pat be the most targeted player in this offense this week. Maybe that's what happens, but I'm sitting him on the bench.
Buffalo's scary.
Buffalo is scary. I think I'd do Freiermuth and Kareem Hunt probably.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans is a tough matchup for running backs. So Rashad Penny might have a tough time. Chris Ponzio asks CEH or Damian Pierce. What are you guys doing this week? Can you sit CEH?
Yeah, I'm starting Damian Pierce over CEH in that one. I'm starting CEH or Damian Pierce. Guys, before we go, I want to do a quick recap for everybody listening. Make sure that you guys know who's in, who's out. We've talked a little bit about it. Alvin Kamara, if you've got him in your lineups, he is active. Amon-Ra St. Brown also going to be active in this game today. We got Kyle Pitts out in today's game. Who else do we got out over here? DJ Chark, DeAndre Swift also out, but Josh Reynolds is expected to be playing. Jonnu Smith is going to be out. Jacoby Myers is still active in that one. Michael Thomas out. Jarvis Landry also out in that Saints game. So if you had Jarvis Landry, make sure you've got a backup plan ready to go. Tyreek Hill was active. We're expecting to have him play as well. Keenan Allen out as well. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us while we pre-gamed with Front Yard Fantasy. Stay tuned after this from 1 to 5 p.m. It's the Better Zone with Corey, Adam, and Scott E., the king, who is just on with us. Right after that, from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got the Better Zone with Holden Kushner and Greg Lambert after that. It's a full day of live action watch parties and hangouts here, chatting in real time, getting the takes live. This is the Pre-Gaming with Front Yard Fantasy Show. We will see you guys live tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Until then, though, we're out of here. See you later, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.